Click and laugh. Click and laugh. Click and laugh.
I already clicked live. I'm clicking it
laugh.
live with a squeaky flow.
Click and
TikTok, time to
laugh.
rock. Good
Click and
evening, good
laugh.
morning, good
Click and
afternoon.
laugh.
To everyone who's watching from all over the world, it's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood. And with me now, the Pied Piper of Islam, the apostate prophet, guiding Muslims out of Islam.
Isn't the Pied Piper based on some weird perverted myth of a Middle Age stuff? What I don't know.
Was it? I don't know. I saw it on there was some show, Fairy Tale Theater or something like that, when I was a little kid, and they would actually reenact the old stories. But I remember the Pied Piper from that.
Oh, okay, I see.
And of course, from the song, "Hey, come on, babe, follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. They call me Dizzle. I'm the what?
I know from the show Silicon Valley. Anyway,
Pervert. I don't know what kind of crap you're watching. Silicone implants. So that's a show about breast implants or something. What's wrong?
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. Yes. Anyway.
Hey. Yeah, I actually got a ton of requests, and then every time, like I went live on Inspiring Philosophy's channel and on John McRae's channel, and both times people say, "Hey, why don't you talk about the Matt Dillahunty rage quitting?" I think they brought it up in one of our live streams as well. So
Yeah.
Apparently everyone wants us to talk about this. Matter of fact, we did talk about it. And I said, I don't like talking about it without knowing the entire. I would want to watch it before actually commenting on it. Anyway, I listened to it a couple hours ago, and I had assumed, just based on everyone freaking out, that Andrew was like really, really, really nasty. And because even James from Modern Day Debate, he was clearly ticked off and so on. So I had assumed that like Andrew was just like a total jerk and blasting Matt Dillahunty with personal attacks and so on in his opening statement, and that was why Matt rage quit. But listening to it, it wasn't nearly. I mean, I would have put them roughly even as far as their level of rhetoric. So
You're just saying that because you're a Christian and Matt Dillahunty is an atheist.
Yes, you see. So we're actually going to get everyone's perspective. We're going to go through the entire thing. We're going to watch Matt's opening statement, and we're going to watch Andrew's opening statement, and we're going to look at the rage quit. Depending on how much time we have, I saw Trent Horn had posted a video sort of discussing this, but also going through kind of the background and so on. So, yeah, we are going to go through this. If we have time, we'll go through some of Trent's comments just for some extra perspective. But yeah, basically, we're going to watch this. AP's just going to side with the atheist. Oh, yes, he was right. Of course. Christians need to keep their mouths shut and not criticize our views. And, but it is interesting. Like, I can't figure out, like, this did not seem especially nasty to me. So I don't know what in the world's going on here, but maybe I'm missing something.
Probably about to watch the nastiest thing ever.
Yeah, maybe I missed something. I don't know. Now, I mean, keep in mind there are things that Matt could and did point out. There are things that people in the room pointed out and said, "Hey, this is really messed up. What's going on here? Why'd you say it like that?" But I'm looking at what Matt's saying, and I don't know what's going on.
Let's see. Let's check it out. Let's see what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Hang on. No, wait. There's a chat by someone. Okay, let's go through these chats right here because the third super chat is actually about this. Let's see. So today, AP will become Christian after he sees how Matt was absolutely, you say demolished? No, humiliated. You got to say it right. Humiliated.
Humiliated.
And then you have to say, you see. And matter of fact, done. We have the way we do things here. It should say, you see. Today, AP will become a Christian after he sees how Matt was humiliated. You see. See? And then, what?
Destroyed, annihilated,
humiliated. And then Key here says maybe Matt didn't use his leather strap. What do you mean? That would be the eyes. Maybe Matt didn't use his eyes.
Yeah, he probably did. So that's what the leather strap is.
Oh, here's the comment that's actually about this situation on Rumble. Andrew said, Everyone there looked like scumbags, except Omega Chads like D Wood, mentioning an interaction about making your autograph big. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. They gave us things to sign. They wanted all the debaters to sign a thing, and then someone made a joke about me making my autograph big, so I made it like giant and signed it all the way across the top. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was an Omega Chad move.
Wait, so
And
he's on Rumble only? He's not on YouTube, I guess.
I
Is
don't
that
know. I did not know who he was. I don't follow most people. I don't follow the vast majority of people. I tend to watch like my friends and then like a couple other channels, people that I've been watching for years and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know who he was until then. And so when I hear that he was being the biggest rudest jerk in the world, I have nothing to go on. And James is. You can look at it negatively, and people can point out that James will kind of just get anyone who wants to debate on his channel and so on sometimes, and so you
yeah.
might get people who are jerks, and so it was believable that there's just this guy who's launching into personal attacks against Matt, and so it was believable. But yeah, that's just not what I saw there. Alpha Wolf here says Matt's a coward. That's it. I don't know. I mean, Matt's always been willing to debate lots of people, so I wouldn't call him a coward. I just don't know what happened there.
Dare you call him a coward?
Yeah, you see what AP says? Always sides with the atheists, no matter what they do. An atheist could walk down the street just massacring people, and AP would be like, "Yes, you see, this is what you get, Christians."
How dare you blame him?
Shiba Dog. Oh, super sticker. And then AP, don't be biased, even sensitive. D Wood saw nothing wrong. Yeah, I know. Like I'm Captain Feelings, and I didn't. No, again, I'm not saying I didn't see anything wrong. It just seemed pretty comparable to Matt's level of rhetoric. So, I think if you're saying no, you went too far, and you went. It's about how far you go. Yeah, you look like a crybaby to me. But
hyping it up, I'm really curious what happened though.
Yeah, we're about to watch. We're through the super chats here. The moment Matt brought up LGBT, it became fair game for Andrew as well. Also, Matt got the taste of his own medicine, and it was sweet. That's what I saw. Like Matt's bringing up these issues and attacking Christians based on these issues, and then Andrew talks about the same issues and says, "No, you're wrong about this, and this is bad for society." And then notice at that point, you're saying this is bad, and you're saying this is bad, and that's the point of a debate. And then no, Matt rage quits. So yeah, we're about to see this. Two more real quick. Tom says, "God bless D Wood every day. God save AP." I agree.
Inshallah.
And AP, do you agree with Sam Harris? The reason the conflict can't be solved by a real estate transaction is because they have two conflicting and untrue books. I think it's more complicated than that, but what do you...
No, I think that's a very big oversimplification of the whole conflict. Considering that in Israel, half the population doesn't value doesn't follow the religion very much. To most people, it doesn't really matter. Most people just believe in it because, or just are loyal to Israel as a Jewish state, not because of a religious aspect, but because of safety and a home and all of that. I mean, half of Israel, or maybe less than half of Israel, doesn't even believe in God. So it's certainly not based on Israel's side. It is very much. It is not based on religion. It is more a secular idea. Whereas on the other side, you could say there is a religion. So the Palestinian side, they are very much motivated by religion and by this religious idea of staying there and fighting the Jews and all of that. But I think bringing it down to religion solely is oversimplification.
Yeah, and you could point out that there have been large numbers of Muslims who are willing to get along with Israel, and that was one of the things that led to the recent attack. Was there were Muslim nations who were going to agree that they were going to basically get along with Israel from now on, and so yeah, it's not as simple as one book versus another book. It's lots of other things as well. Lots of manipulation.
Truer words have never been spoken.
And let's see here. Two more real quick, and then we're going to start the video. Jeff says, Matt's take on slavery in the Bible is woefully wrong. Yeah, Matt's take on lots of things is woefully wrong.
How dare you say that?
And it's interesting to me because then as soon as Andrew starts addressing Matt's views, then Matt complains about misrepresenting him. You're misrepresenting. It's like, dude, almost everything you said is some sort of misrepresentation. Parody of Abbott and Costello's He's 40, She's 10, featuring Muhammad and Aisha. I'm not familiar with that one. Someone remind me of this in the comments section when you're watching this later to look that up, because I will forget right now because we're about to go live for we're going to be live for a little while going through this. But yeah, check that out. It wouldn't. I mean, we could do that. We could pull off a Abbott and Costello parody if it works. And pair character lifting some weights. Thanks, Jean Michelle. Next episode of Muhammad's Boom Boom Room when. It's right here on my SD card. I just have to splice them together. Stop complaining. No, actually, the only thing that's delaying is like the intro clips and the intro music. I have a new laptop. My other one, like the screen died, and so I have to figure out how to find the intro clip and stuff like that. I think I can plug in another, like a television as a monitor because the screen died. I think I can plug in a television as a monitor and then use that to find the files I need. So. I mean, in theory, I could just take one of the previous episodes and chop it off the beginning, but I'd kind of need those clips, so I have to find them. And when you guys collab with Drip Master Rabbi, oh yeah, we're supposed to be on this way. Well, yeah. In theory, it looks like we're gonna be on with Rabbi Shmuley here, probably on Cameron's channel. And you're going to see a bunch of Dawa guys flip out and lose their minds. Hey, they're uniting against us. Like, dude, you keep screwing with everybody, and then, yeah, and then what do you expect? Oh, don't talk about us after we insult all of you and go after all your family members and stuff. Bunch of crybabies.
Yeah. No, we are supposed to go live together with Rabbi Shmuley at the beginning of the coming week.
So I'm sure there will be some complaints. Justin here says, honestly, I thought that Andrew was a bit of a jerk in the end. Yeah, that's the thing. Now he did escalate at the very end, but that's after Matt rage quit. And so the point is, yeah, he did escalate at the very end in response to Matt calling him a name, but that was after Matt had rage quit. So as far as Matt rage quitting and whether he was right to just say, "Hey, this is too much. I'm out of here." It was what led up to that, and yeah, I must be missing it. I must be missing it.
Yeah, what he said in the end was a little bit too much.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree. He was a jerk in the end, but the point was, yeah, Matt had already rage quit. But go ahead.
I don't actually know what he said in the end because I still haven't seen the whole clip. So
you're about to.
Yeah.
Solitary Emmy, do you guys think the reason why Matt Dillahunty does not want to be a Christian is because he is a homosexual? I don't know what he is.
I doubt that. I think that's what came long before anything.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say he doesn't want to be a Christian because of this. I mean, there's a million reasons people might not be a Christian, and at the end of the day, lots of people think it's just silly. So, yeah. And finally, sound clip: tanks. They should have tanks. That wouldn't be a bad. What do you think is the solution here? Give them tanks. How are they gonna? What are we gonna do about Hamas? The Palestinians need tanks. This is actually, if you guys didn't watch it yesterday, but this is Hijab's position. Very, very strange. And so Rabbi Shmuley will have a D Wood or AP discount next. A discount at the shop. Yeah, that would actually be funny. No, I'm assuming we're gonna get along pretty well. It is kind of funny though. It's going to be a Christian, an atheist, and a Jewish rabbi. This sounds like it sounds like a beginning of a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this video here. It's going to start with, I forget who it starts. I think it starts with Matt. Yeah, it starts with Matt. All right, here we go. And probably going to interrupt this less than we normally do, just because we want to get through both their opening statements. So, yeah, let's go ahead and see what's up.
Thanks so much, James. And thanks, Andrew, for being here and all of you for showing up. Humanism has as its focus the betterment of humanity in this
I
life.
can't slide this
While
over anymore.
Christianity has as its focus adherence to a God and the disposition of souls in an afterlife.
Oh, wait. So as far as misrepresentation, let me back this up just that little beginning, and then we'll let Matt talk for a little while. But notice he starts off with secular humanists. It's going to switch camera angle, so it's not a big concern. I mean, oh, yeah, you're pointing out I could switch sides?
Can't you somehow like switch to where we are on the screen or something?
I can make a smaller.
Smaller.
Let's see.
Make us smaller.
I'm worried about accidentally clicking one of these buttons. I'm just going to leave it. He's going to change camera angles in a second. We'll kind of see Matt here. But yeah, so notice at the very beginning, secular humanists are concerned with the good of humans in this world, and Christianity is just focused on the afterlife, and it's total. It's like 2,000 years of refutation that is just complete. I mean, it's just ridiculous to say that, right? I mean, Jesus comes along. He doesn't just say, hey, here's the afterlife. He feeds people and performs miracles and keeps helping people. And then Christians start, and what do? They build hospitals. They do all this stuff and charities. And it's like, where are you getting the idea? Oh, no. They're just focused on the afterlife. It's ridiculous. And I'm only pointing this out because later on he's going to complain that he's being misrepresented. All right, but I just wanted to point that out at the beginning because listen to him, and then he's going to whine later about being misrepresented.
Thanks so much, James, and thanks, Andrew, for being here, and all of you for showing up. Humanism has as its focus the betterment of humanity in this life, while Christianity has as its focus adherence to a God and the disposition of souls in an afterlife. Our best efforts in this life are, according to the Bible, like filthy rag. Our best attempts at righteousness and justice are portrayed as vile and disgusting when compared to a bumbling God constantly failing to get his creation to love and respect.
Catch that? Bumbling God failing. I just wanted to point that out. Notice, I'm fine with that sort of thing in debate, but if you're going to start off your debates like that, you can't complain later and say, oh, he's not being super nice to me. Anyway.
Respect him.
Like this is like AP. I have a conversation with AP and he's just heaping insults and nonstop. I say one little word about atheism and he like, oh, I'm never going to live stream with you again.
I can do that though. I can do it. Yeah.
While also prescribing the death penalty for nearly everything: adultery, blasphemy, breaking the Sabbath, disobedient children, witchcraft, worshiping another god, not being a virgin on your wedding night.
And by the way, notice, again, I don't want to keep interrupting. The point is, later on, he's going to complain about misrepresentation. He just said Christians are focused on giving everyone the death penalty for anything you might do. Is that an accurate representation? No. Nah.
Which is better for society? Well, I'd say the one that has human society as its focus and isn't so intent on killing humans for not buying into a specific doctrine. Heaven and hell, if they were to exist, aren't human societies. What a God thinks is unknown and irrelevant.
I'm wondering why
There's never been a secular humanist nation.
What's up?
I'm wondering why Matt's voice is so different. I think he might be sick or something. He sounds a little bit different.
You're sick.
You're sick. You're
sick. You're sick, man.
Yeah. Either in a governmental form, which I'm not advocating for, or in a primary philosophical view of the majority of the population, which means we have to look at the ideals between these two positions. Secular humanism has been around for 90 years. In 1933, the first Secular Humanist Manifesto was published. It identified humanism as a religion with 15 points. It was updated 40 years later in 1973 with a lot more information. And then it was incredibly shortened in 2003. In addition to the manifestos, there are organizations like the Council for Secular Humanism, American Humanists, etc. In the first version of the manifesto, it's presented as a religious view where it acknowledges there's no supernatural guarantee of human value. We advocate a heightened sense of personal life and a cooperative effort to promote social well-being. The goal of humanism is a free and universal society in which people voluntarily and intelligently cooperate for the common good. In the manifesto version 2, 40 years later, this includes a lot more information. Short versions, they begin by saying those who sign this disclaim that they are setting forth a binding credo. This statement reaches for a vision in time that needs direction. We affirm a set of common principles that can serve as a basis for united action. This isn't a to-do list or a thou shalt or thou shalt not list.
He brings this up, I think, a couple of times, that we don't have thou shalt nots and so on. And yet it kind of, I don't know. It sounds like they have a bunch of thou shalt nots. They're just not phrasing it that way as far as rules about what's allowed and what's not allowed. But anyway.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
We're fine with religion's inspiration, but we're opposed to dogma and authoritarian views that place anything above human needs. Religions don't pass the test of scientific evidence. The promises of immortal salvation or eternal damnation are illusory and harmful. Ethics and moral values stem from human experience, and situational ethics stem from the human need and human interest. Reason and intelligence are the most effective instruments we possess. We are not advocating for the use of scientific intelligence independent of or in opposition to emotion, for we believe in the cultivation of feeling and love.
Feeling. This sounds kind of effeminate.
Yeah.
So not just science, not just intellect, but the cultivation of emotions and love. All right, so we're getting this down so far. Let me just I don't want to get too far behind on super chat, so we'll just go through a couple at a time here. Alpha Wolf says, "Isn't Andrew's problem Matt is insecure about his sexuality?" I don't know. Andrew, again, after Matt rage quits, Andrew makes a mean comment towards Matt. But as far as what led up to that, yeah, I mean, it really sounds like, well, you guys are about to see. Andrew brings up the same topic that Matt brought up, talks about it, and Matt rage quits. Slapstick says, "AP, your hair is looking plentiful tonight."
Oh, I don't know what happened.
We're using a volumizing shampoo.
I do, but I often do, so there shouldn't be a big difference. I don't know.
Chuppy here says, "AP, the doc is called Sheep Among Wolves, Volume 1. Do you know what's that talking about?"
What is this about? Sheep Among
Wolves, Volume 1.
What is that about? I don't know.
Don't know.
While war in the Middle East may seem inevitable, something surprising is taking place in Iran. Many Iranians are bowing their knee to the Jewish Messiah with a newfound love for the Jewish people. Interesting.
Wait, that's Sheep Among Wolves?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
A gripping documentary about the persecuted church in the Islamic world. Interesting.
5 silver pesos says, "Here you go, guys. Get a nice tie and shirt for capturing Christianity. I promise you we will not. But I also have to point out, we don't take pesos. We only take shekels."
Yeah.
And where did Muhammad Hijab get his laser hair removal? That shirtless pic is silky smooth. Serious question. I'm asking for a friend. Yeah. He's running his mouth about how manly he is, and he has less body hair than I do. What is that? What's going on there?
I heard he gets his hair, plucked every week. He goes to a special place where he gets that done. Like, he spends the whole day just getting that done with his big body. That's what I heard, but I can't confirm.
Yeah. On a side note, people don't know this. Nabil was like the hairiest dude in the world. It was we had to share a hotel room. You go in, like, after he takes a shower and stuff, there's like a carpet in there. It was gross.
Oh.
In fact, I've only rarely shared this, but on his wedding day, he had me shave his back because he didn't want to be disgusting. So he comes to me, he's got some clippers, he's pulling them out of the box. He's like, "Hey man, can you help me out?" I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't like my back being all hairy. It's like a bear." And I was like, "I'm not shaving your back." He's like, "Come on, it's my wedding day, man." I'm like, "Gosh, okay, you get one wish right now. All right." So one of the creepiest things I ever did, but it was the wedding day. So what am I going to do? Classic.
I wonder if someone can clarify. I'm kind of looking stuff up right now about Andrew Wilson, and so I saw earlier people say he's a Christian nationalist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would explain a lot. Yeah, matter of fact, that makes sense. It's some of the things he's saying in this debate sound like that. He's talking about making laws and so on.
But then he also seems to have debates and disagreements with the neo-Nazi kinds, and I don't know, some interactions with Nick Fuentes that I don't know at this point whether they are positive or negative. But if somebody can enlighten me more about the guy's stances in the chat, somebody who knows, I would really appreciate that. Not that it matters to the discussion at hand, but it's just, it would give more insight, maybe.
Yeah, because basically all we'll have to go on, since we know nothing about him, all we'll have to go on is what he says here. So if there's other relevant information, yeah, we'd have to get that elsewhere. Chippy here says, my last super chat is the doc I recommended. Oh, he's saying he recommended a documentary on AP's channel.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, okay. I remember. All right. Well, thank you so much. I remember you, Chippy.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I will make a note.
And no, D Wood stole my joke. Leather strap of the anus. What? You stole that from Muhammad.
Yeah.
And Harris the Explorer said, I'm an atheist myself, but I'm more of the old school. Matt is part of this new wave of woke atheists. They basically swapped one dogma for another. Yeah, and I think I pointed that out in my recent video. Where was that, a live stream? I don't remember. But yeah, I was an atheist in the 1990s. And atheists back then were basically, hey, we're atheists. We don't need any of this stuff. But probably a good idea that the rest of you believe in a God commanding you to love other people and so on. Probably good that you, even if you believe you're going to be judged and so on. And it's pretty good. Oh, you believe I'm going to hell? What do I care what you believe about what's going to happen to me when we don't care about that stuff. And so, yeah, it was with the rise of the new atheists after 9/11 where things really changed. And so I actually believe that's where things are going to go back to once everyone gets sick of the new atheists. I think atheism will still be around, but it's going to be more of it's not going to be the super angry atheism of people like AP.
It will be the extremely angry atheism.
Yeah, that would be cool if they actually go in a different direction. They dial it up even more and like, the new atheists, they were weak. That'd be awesome. All right, let's watch more of this.
Inshallah.
Individuals are precious and their dignity is affirmed.
By what?
Yes.
This is important. Us, human beings, affirming the value of individuals and human beings is more powerful than a God affirming it, and it's infinitely more powerful than a human claiming a God affirms this, which is all we appear to have. The third.
It's pretty weird. Us affirming this is much more powerful than a God affirming it or a human being saying God affirms it. Us doing it. So if an atheist says it, then that's more powerful than a Christian saying that God said it.
So I see where he comes from, and I think I agree to an extent with what he says. It's just it's perspective. I mean, to people who believe in God saying it is significantly more powerful than people saying it. But for people who don't believe in God, then to them, I guess you could say humans saying it is more powerful. But that is completely relative here. Right?
Yeah, the point is, if you say God said this, and I say, well, I don't believe God said it, I don't care. I don't see why that's less weighty than, oh, Matt Dillahunty says it. What do I care? What do I care what Matt Dillahunty or this Christian or what people say they're God? So like what? It's like if I agree with it, then I agree with it, and if I don't, then why should I agree with it? And someone saying it would not be any more impactful to me than someone saying God did it. But yeah, the difference there would be like if you do believe that God said it, I would say that's a different category. But yes, if you're an atheist and you don't believe that someone said it, I don't understand why you would care whether an atheist says it or whether a Christian says it or what. Anyway.
You just don't want to understand it.
You just don't want to. All right, here we go.
Manifesto in a nutshell, it's so short. Whether God exists or not, we have problems to solve.
That's true.
We have to do this without appeals to the supernatural entities or intervention. We must utilize the best methods at our disposal. Reason and science seem to be the primary ones to assess reality and reach conclusions. Justice, fairness, equality, and autonomy are the primary goals. This life, not a hypothetical afterlife, is what we're trying to improve. So what happens when religions control societies and governments, either legitimate or illegitimate? Well, conflicts with other societies and other governments may not have any reasoned diplomatic solution. You need only look to Gaza. But that's Islam and Judaism. Here we have Christianity as a primary and Christian nationalism. Under secular humanism, you get to be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, gay, straight, socialist, capitalist. You just don't get to impose those necessarily on others through acts of fiat. Not necessarily true with the religions in charge of the government. Mike Johnson's the new Speaker of the House in the United States.
What's that?
Is there some poor audio during the debate? Is that what's happening? There's a lot of cutting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the greatest audio because I mean it's James basically goes into the place and hooks up mics and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. But yeah, so now he's going into I forget the Speaker of the House's name, but the new Speaker of the House. And the reason I'm mentioning this is Matt is about to, for a significant portion of his opening statement, talk about the Speaker of the House.
Really?
Yeah. And as like some indication of a Christian nationalism. It's interesting because people like Matt and Aaron Ron, stuff, that generation, they became popular because they convinced everyone that George Bush was going to start a Christian theocracy. And so, we need to do something. Otherwise they're going to impose a Christian theocracy. And then that kind of went away. And no one's talking about a Christian theocracy. And now they got a Speaker of the House. And you see, the Christian theocracy is coming back. And so it's...
but he was going to start it, but we prevented it.
Yeah, something like that. See, matter of fact, I don't know why. You see, they were going to do it. They were going to have a Christian theocracy, but we atheists saved you. So yeah, and the point about the Speaker of the House, he's about to spend a couple minutes going after the Speaker of the House, but later he's going to complain that Andrew criticizes his view in particular. And it's like, wait a minute, you spend, a couple minutes of your opening statement talking about the Speaker of the House, and Andrew criticizes your view, and then you complain about Andrew criticizing your view. It's really, really weird. It's almost, the only people I think of who are like this inconsistent are like the Dawa guys, where keep in mind, the Dawa guys are significantly worse and less consistent than Matt is, but it's kind of reminds me of that because these guys would be like, we're going to kill you and we're going to subjugate you and we're going to slave your wives and blah, blah, blah. But when you talk about our religion, speak respectfully of our book and our prophet and us. And it's like, wait, what? What? You guys are actually saying you're going to like subjugate us all? And like, we're all, me and AP, we're all dead. Matt would be dead under Sharia. Almost everyone we interact with is under a death sentence. And we're supposed to speak respectfully of your book and your prophet and you in return.
Of course. Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm not really paying attention to what is being said. I just, what matters to me is who says it. If Matt Dillahunty says it because he's on my side, he's right. If the other one says something because he's not on my side, he's wrong.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Matter of fact, you should go here and say, Matt destroyed him. The atheists always destroy the Christians.
Humiliated.
Kaifas here says, I strapped the 3-hour Andrew post stream. He smokes like a chimney. Andrew smokes like a chimney and swears like a sailor, intended to be civil until insulted. Only did bad after he left.
Interesting.
Let's see. Hey, 2.7% Juice Wood. You have exposed your ape friend. We all know who Momo said those are. You see, take my super shekels anyway. That's funny calling them super shekels.
Super shekels.
Super shekels. We take all the super shekels. That's better. I'm glad. It's funny. Like lots of our great ideas come from people in the chat. And then we keep using it, and then later on, people think we're just funny when we're just stealing everything.
Yeah. Everything is stolen. Like literally everything, every single thing.
Dehydrated Pie says, what does a Christian devotee and an atheist and a Jewish rabbi have in common? They all had to debate hijab's leather strap of the anus. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how it is. See, Fidel, I think leaving the debate was the worst thing Matt could have done for his reputation. No platform will pay for his services if he's just going to leave. And yeah, so there are issues like that where you can say, hey, given what's said, then I can see Matt leaving, but yeah, how do you then set up future debates with someone you don't know if he's going to just walk off stage the moment anyone hurts his feelings?
To be honest, I don't think Matt Dillahunty cares too much about being invited. He just he likes to debate, but I mean he quit Atheist Experience recently over disagreements. And he was like, I don't care, I'm out. And so I don't think he personally really cares that much about being invited or disinvited.
That is what you just brought up as far as him quitting the Atheist Experience. I don't know anything about that, but it is running through the claims about secular humanism being great and wonderful and so on. It's always in my head, like they don't understand how much human beings will disagree about things without some shared foundation, whatever that happens to be. You've got atheists who just hang out with their atheist friends and, hey, we're fine. And they think, oh, okay, see, why can't everyone just be like us? And if we just got rid of religion, then everyone would be like us. And it's total nonsense. And I'm always thinking, like, how seriously can you take your claims that if we just sweep away everything, we're all just going to be secular humanists? Because he says it. He says in his opening statements, we'll all agree willingly on this system and so on. I'm thinking, what planet do you live on? But what you just pointed out about him quitting the Atheist Experience and even rage quitting this debate, it's like, do you seriously not think that people are going to disagree with you and you're not going to be able to even work with them? If you can't get along even with your fellow atheists on certain things, we just have to split up. Guess what? That's what happens, right? That's what happens. Everyone gets divided up. Everyone's going to be in their own little clique. And then those little cliques are going to split into cliques. And anyway, I'm actually interested in how an atheist, a secular humanist, would solve the issue of what I really think about human nature and how easy it is for us to split up and start attacking each other. Really, I mean, I tend to think along, and I think you do too, AP. I think we tend to think along Nietzsche's lines where, hey, if you're getting rid of this, you kind of need something big to replace it and to be the new foundation. You need something big, and it's just, hey, we're all just going to agree, and we're going to agree on these secular values. And it's like, I don't think you will.
You see, the thing with me is I kind of agree with that, but I also, in theory, I kind of agree with that, but in practice, I'm also like, I'm not gonna stick to a group or a way of thinking. So it doesn't bother me.
Fazia said, you keep Nabil alive. He's so missed.
Really? You keep him alive?
Nabil's all right. He's cool. He's pretty cool. Stan says, don't know Andrew, but can't be that bad if AP won't defend him.
Let's see the video.
Do you know what the joke is? Like, you defend like the worst of the worst. You're always like, well, the guy with a little mustache, he wasn't all that bad. He was trying to do right and stuff. And it's like, if even AP can't defend someone, that would have to be a really, really, really messed up person. All right, let's go back to Matt here.
States he's homophobic as all get out. He's argued to criminalize homosexuality.
So again, he's talking about the Speaker of the House here.
Homosexualities, by the way, are U.S. citizens with specific rights that he wants to take away. Moreover, he advocates for gay conversion therapy, which is unscientific and torturous because he thinks he can help them pray the gay away and the gay can be eliminated. He's not anti.
Wait, you can't have gay conversion therapy, but you can like transition from guy to girl? I'm just anticipating where Andrew's going to be going here.
Gay. He just wants them to cease to exist as gay. They get to keep being human beings. He thinks there's no right to sodomy. Privacy laws don't protect everything, and he thinks that what sort of sex you have should be his to regulate. Sodomy, by the way, is anal or oral copulation, which I have it on good authority heterosexual folks engage in as well.
I'm laughing because I'm imagining Matt talking to Mohammed Hijab and them. He's like, oh, anal and oral, and then Mohammed Hijab. My goodness. Hey, who would want to see Mohammed Hijab and Matt Dillahunty really, really dialed up, full shouting match mode, discussing this stuff? I think that would be good.
2022, he presented what was called the Don't Say Gay bill, outlawing any discussion of gender identity, sexual orientation, or related subjects, which was incredibly problematic because he ignored what the experts have to say about age-appropriate content and how critical it is, especially for kids under 10, which was his target, to have correct language in order to better report on and about sexual abuse.
That seems like a massive misrepresentation of the situation. Did you catch what he just said? He said the Don't Say Gay bill, that the reason teachers wanted to talk to kids about this stuff was just so that kids would have the appropriate language with which to, if they wanted to report abuse or something, kids need to know what they're talking about and so on. And so that was the issue behind. And then, the politicians said, no, you can't teach. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone, but I'm not wrong on this. The real issue that was concerning people was parents were finding out that their second or third grade teachers were transitioning their kids and telling them to keep it a secret from their parents. And so the point is, whatever side of the issue you happen to fall on, that seems like a legitimate issue to bring up and be concerned about. To just say, no. It was just about giving kids appropriate language to report abuse or something like that. No, I think people were worried about more than that.
So I don't know enough about the issue, not remotely enough about the issue to talk about it. But
and yet you're talking about it.
As far as I caught, of course, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, I did too. I don't know any more than you on it. I think I did one video on it way back in the day, but yeah, that was the extent of my interactions with it.
What people wanted to, what people were complaining about is that the kids should be able to, secretly talk to their teachers about certain, feelings or things that they have, and they shouldn't be forced to be ratted out to their parents or something like that. That was the thing. So I'm completely unfamiliar with what Matt Dillahunty just presented, with how he presented it. But again, I don't know enough about this.
And even in the Florida bill, which was called the Don't Say Gay, even though it had nothing to do with saying gay or not saying gay, in the actual bill, there were exceptions. If a teacher had reason to think that a child was going to be abused if this information was shared, then they could say, okay, we're not sharing it with the parents and so on. So there were exceptions if there were actual legitimate concerns about parents harming a child and so on. But the point is, what Matt is saying is, I don't know, seems like massive. For someone who complains about being misrepresented a few minutes from now, he seems to be misrepresenting pretty much everything. And the reason this is a concern is he's talking about the Speaker of the House. I don't know anything about the Speaker of the House, but when you're saying things and I'm thinking no, that's not accurate. No, you're misrepresenting this. And then you're talking about the Speaker of the House. It's like, I can't trust you until I see verification, because it sounds like you misrepresent things a lot. So anyway,
You're just saying that because you're atheophobic.
You're saying it because you hate Christians.
Policy, if it had been implemented, would have made it more traumatic for kids and more difficult for them to out their abusers, and easier for abusers to get away with it. Happily, it failed. In 2015, he blamed abortions and the breakup of the nuclear family for school shootings. He also says the teaching of evolution is to blame for mass shootings because we've taught a whole generation, of couple generations now, of Americans that there's no right or wrong, that it's about survival of the fittest. And if you evolve from a primordial slime, what is that life of any sacred value? He wants student-led prayer.
That's really weird. That's very interesting to know, and it's actually a very, very weird statement, which I completely agree that is very strange. But the criticism that I have here of Matt Dillahunty's approach is his focus on that person, as you pointed out, on the House Speaker. It's just, is it really the right way to approach a debate with somebody when you're debating worldviews? I don't think so.
Yeah, and again, I'm wondering why. Because Matt's debated topics like this a bunch of times. Why is he just let me spend half of my, or whatever, a third, a half, or whatever, of my opening statement talking about the new speaker? And I'm thinking, I've heard Matt say before that what helped these guys rise to popularity was the concerns about Christian nationalism of George W. Bush. And so it's like, wait, are you doing this just because, we've got another one? we've got another one where we can run around warning everyone, it's going to be Christian nationalism right now if we don't stop this. Yeah, so wait, what is this? Don here says, what is justice and fairness? It's all subjective and arbitrary. You can't really justify it in the atheist worldview. Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, atheists can agree on things, and there are certain things they can point to and so on, but that's kind of my concern. Like once you say, we're just going to have this shared system of justice and promoting human flourishing. This is going to come up. Human flourishing is going to come up a lot. But notice if you say, hey, we all agree that we should promote human flourishing. Okay, we agree on that. Then exactly how you define human flourishing, you can get massive differences on what you're supposed to be looking for. And so, yeah, notice that's what I actually would like to hear from Matt on what happens when the guy says, this is what I mean by human flourishing. This is what he means by human flourishing. This is what he means by human flourishing. And we're all applying different values to what we mean by human flourishing. Who's right? And how do you avoid then just breaking up and going in completely different directions? But we don't get that because he rage quits like AP.
This is funny. This reminds me of several years ago, I was live streaming for fun, and secular humanism came up, and somebody said, so why don't you do this and this and this when it's right according to secular humanism? And I said, I'm not a secular humanist. I don't care. And and there was this reaction like, what do you mean you're not a secular humanist? And but it was funny because
I'm a moral nihilist. I don't believe in anything.
Right? It was
we are nihilists. We don't believe in anything.
Yeah, nihilist.
Nihilist.
It's weird that people expected me to be a secular humanist because I'm an atheist. And that is,
guys, keep in mind secular human. You've got atheism, and then you've got secular humanism as a particular view that lots of atheists adopt, but that does not flow just, if you're an atheist, then you're this. That's like, they have manifestos and stuff like that you can agree. Now, keep in mind, AP would probably agree with lots of things from secular humanism and so on. That doesn't mean that this is what he would class. I would agree with lots of things from secular humanism and so on.
I would agree with lots of things from Christianity or, even Judaism.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I can agree. There are things that Muslims say that I agree with. There are things that everyone says that I would agree with. AP. Let's see. Dehydrated says, Falafel-stinians. Wait, what's wrong with you, man? Won't be happy. You guys only take shekels, but if you say so, take some Zionist shekels then. But you got to go. You got to do a Lily Dawa invitation, please.
Oh, these are genuine, authentic shekels here, so that's good.
That'd be super cool.
Thank you, Dehydrated Pie.
And we're proud of that. And then, wow, everyone's calling Muhammad hijab names. That's messed up. And you'd say, hey, that's... Notice the parallel. It's like Muhammad hijab insults everyone, and then everyone, hey, why is everyone insulting Muhammad hijab? But it's similar with Matt. Now, again, Matt is not in the same category with Muhammad hijab, but the inconsistency, that is in a similar direction.
How dare you say
so, Mohanjab, New Islam lube on sale now. If you guys don't know what this is talking about, Rabbi Shmuley, who's written books, kosher, sex, and stuff like that, and then hijab brings up all this stuff. Again, if you haven't seen it, go to AP's channel, watch the discussion from yesterday. But after Muhammad hijab brings up all this stuff in the live stream, and Rabbi Shmuley, they made like a discount code where you get, if you use a Muhammad hijab discount code when you're buying various products and stuff. So Islam lube on sale. Love you both. And did you both watch Sam Harris and Eric on trigonometry? Sam said the Quran is better than the Bible in the context of just the Quran, no hadiths. No, I didn't see that. Is that a recent one?
What? I saw that they sat together and people asked me to watch it. I didn't.
Is that a new interview?
Yeah, it's quite fairly recent. Yeah, they talk mainly about the Israel-Palestine thing. I think it would be interesting to go through actually.
Yeah,
they're both very very boring speakers, and
no, I'm wondering what
very interesting things. So.
I'm wondering what possible basis he could, unless he goes like Matt just did. Oh, Christians teach you kill everybody, unless he goes in that direction, like not even basic distinctions between like old covenant theocracy and new covenant and so on. Unless he's not doing that, I would be interested in seeing what you do and saying, oh, the Quran is actually superior from my atheist perspective.
Maybe we should go through that on sometime this week or weekend.
Yeah, so that could be tomorrow, or that could be Thursday or Friday. We'll see what else comes up. We know we're going to have the hopefully have the discussion with Rabbi Shmuley here. So
I mean, Sam Harris said famously, Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas.
But but with that he factors in the hadiths. So he's saying without the hadiths.
So he says Islam is solely the worst religion there is, significantly far worse than any other religion. But yeah, I guess if he says without the hadiths, just the Quran is actually better, I would have to hear his reasonings, because even that sounds bad. Yeah, that sounds wrong.
Cheryl here says, Mike Johnson, okay, now I know his name. Mike Johnson, new Speaker of the House, is a Christian and a constitutional attorney. Don't think he's about to become a Christian nationalist. Yeah, there are occasionally people who support Christian nationalism. It is, I mean, I encounter them occasionally online. I can't recall meeting an actual Christian nationalist. That's how kind of rare it is for saying, officially Christian nation where Christianity is imposed in this nation and so on. The issue is anytime anyone is saying, any politician is saying anything that's actually influenced by his Christian worldview, they say that's Christian nationalism. That's not Christian nationalism.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, Christian nationalism is a bit bigger project.
That's very true. Yeah.
Joshua here says, if Matt treated people how he wanted to be treated, if he actually followed the golden rule, oh no, I can't because that's Jesus. He wanted to be treated and not mock every theist he has ever debated, then yes, Andrew was wrong overall. And that's really my position. If you're a really nice guy and you don't engage in any sort of hostile rhetoric and things like that, and then someone did it to you, I can imagine saying, hey, this is not the kind of debate I want to have. When you spend decades telling Christians they're stupid morons and that you're the smart one and they're bad and they're dangerous and all this stuff, and then they criticize me back, I'm rage quitting, that seems really weak and pathetic.
You're just saying it because you hate atheists.
AP, what is your favorite Europa? Well, let me say it German. Oh, Europa. Universalis nation. What is that?
Oh, that's a game.
Oh, gosh. Seriously, we're having one of the most serious evaluations of Matt Dillahunty ever, and you guys are talking about video games over here on my channel, not on AP's dumb gaming channel.
Yeah, I would have to say I think it's Prussia, starting with Brandenburg. Yeah, that's it. Let's turn this into a gaming channel. Let's hijack this show here.
We should just make a gaming channel. I only know how to play like 2 games, unless you go back to like the original Nintendo and Atari and stuff like that. Atari 2600 and the original Nintendo. But,
that works too. Yeah.
I could always learn how to play a game, and then we just don't do nothing but play that game ever.
That'd be great.
Will we ever see Farfour, the bunny, and the bee on Muhammad's Boom Boom Room? How about AP and D-Wood as Mario and Luigi? You guys got great accents. Yeah, we've been talking about we'd have to get the costumes, but I wouldn't mind doing a massive parody of Palestinian children's television. we'd have to get some costumes, but yeah, I'd be all for it. It probably wouldn't be a Boom Boom Room thing, although I don't know. Might do Farfour, think of something where it actually turns out to be Ali Dawa or something, or maybe Muhammad kills him. I don't know.
Yeah.
People, if you have good ideas, let me know in the comments later on. And then Mrs. Apostate, leather strap of the anus now on sale at the kosher sex shop. Hey, we gotta show that stuff to Rabbi Shmuley and show him the leather strap of the anus hadith and so on. He could probably do that. The leather strap of the anus now on sale. Use promo code Muhammad Hijab and get the Muhammad Hijab discount. Yeah. And we can Photoshop the leather strap into Muhammad Hijab's hand with his shirt off when he was being his part-time stripper.
That's good.
And it's Hijaba. It's Hijaba like Jabba the Hutt. Hijaba. Muhammad Hijaba. Muhammad Hijab of the Hut.
Yeah, hijab.
All right. Back to
in
that.
school. So, Speaker, are you okay with Islamic prayers, satanic prayers, or
He's still,
just
he's still talking
particular
about the
Christian
speaker?
prayers? He's opposed to the separation of religion and government, sometimes called the separation of church and state. He thinks that the founders only wanted to protect the church from the state and didn't want to protect the state from the church, citing the notorious lying pseudo-historian David Barton to support this view.
And by the way, notice, Matt may be entirely correct here about what Mike Johnson believes and wants to do. The point is, everything in my head where I actually know whether Matt is right or wrong so far, he's massively misrepresenting everything he said so far. So, guys, you got to be careful about trying to represent things accurately or you destroy your own credibility, and then people like me don't take you seriously.
He definitely seeks to impose his views on others. Now, some of you are saying, hang on, he's the Speaker of the House. He's not the Speaker of Christianity. Or, that's not my type of Christianity. Great. But what is your type? What's your type of Christianity like? Because there's a lot of them. How is it better? And how can we make sure that we get your better version than the one that Mike Johnson wants?
But by the way, and again, I don't want to keep interrupting him here, but notice what he just said. Oh, if you don't agree with person X's view of Christianity, and you have a different view of Christianity, how do you decide that? Guess what? That's exactly my question. Notice, Christians have a shared foundation. A Christian can say, hey, I'm consistent with this verse and you're not. Therefore, there's some basis for settling disputes. How do you do that what do you point to as an atheist to say, this is what we need to be doing? I understand we can all say, hey, I agree on this. Do you agree on this? Oh, we agree on this. And therefore let's go out and do this. I'm saying when you actually have a disagreement, you say, no, I think this is best. You think that other thing is way more important. How do you settle those disputes? The point is, what he just criticized Christians for, how does that not apply to atheists? I do not know.
Human flourishing. That's what
human
it is.
Flourishing.
Human flourishing.
He thinks his version's correct. So do you. Countless denominations without consensus. He's already got more power than my opponent has right now. So I don't know Andrew at all. I don't know what version of Christianity he's advocating for. I didn't bother to look him up. We literally just met and said hello as I sat down here. Is his version of Christianity better? I really hope so, because it'd be hard to get a whole lot worse.
I think he's an Orthodox.
But they point to
earlier in the chat, people said he's a monarchist, which is very interesting. But he's Orthodox Christian. People just pointed out.
I thought, because I listened to some of the discussion afterwards, because he stayed and basically did Q&A for a while, and I wanted to know if I should include that, so I listened for a little. He sounded Catholic to me, but yeah, could be Orthodox. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, because he was criticizing Protestants and saying, that might be a problem for Protestants, but we have the church and the church is the authority and so on. So I assumed he was.
Yeah, chat is saying Orthodox. Eastern Orthodox. Yep.
All right.
same book. They point to the same Savior, the same history. Liberal and moderate Christians provide legitimacy and cover to hide the fundamentalists and to allow them to engage in Christian nationalism. Secular humanism allows you to be a Christian right up until you try to oppose it on others, and then you get to keep being a Christian. You just don't get to practice it in the way where you're imposing it on others. You can pray, you can go to church, you can tithe.
Why can't I impose it?
Yeah, so we will impose our secular humanism on you and say you can't impose you. Okay.
You can worship, gather, share, discuss, convert.
Who are you to say I can't impose it? Stop judging me. I don't see why everyone has to be judging me just because I want to impose Christianity on everyone.
Vote based on your values. You can vote against your own best interest. I see people doing all the time. You can teach your kids your values under secular humanism. The foundational principles of secular humanism solve conflicts with data, debate, and discussion instead of coercion, conversion, or conquest. There is no secular humanist sect and no denomination of secular humanists that's ever required someone to believe something that is not empirically verifiable, that's ever ordered the death of another person, that's ever ordered or acted to act or destroy property of any person.
Empirically verifiable. I am not.
know.
I have no idea how you empirically verify the values that would be required for secular humanism to work. You can say, hey, we believe in these things, or we generally believe in these things, or something like that. I have no idea how you would say they're empirically verifiable.
You would have to ground them in something which
That's what I mean.
he would have to, outline here. Not sure if he does it, during the remaining time of his opening speech. But you would have to first establish that and then argue about that to then come to the conclusion of what is and is not appropriate.
Or government that has ever overthrown a democracy to impose a secular humanist regime, that's ever been connected with terrorist cells and activities, that's ever denied freedom of speech or expression.
He's complaining, secular humanists haven't done it. Guys, you haven't been in charge of stuff. You're kind of a new thing. So don't, we haven't been doing all this stuff that you guys do.
That's ever called for the deaths of people for criticizing secular humanism or any religious view, that has ever advocated for or inspired suicide bombers or terrorist attacks. Those things are simply not consistent in any way with the core values of secular humanism. There is no threat to Christians, Jews, Muslims, Scientologists from secular humanism. There might be from scientific skepticism and rationality if you're not able to actually demonstrate the truth of your claim. But life, freedom, and an equitable relationship are the foundation of secular humanism. There is no list of thou shalt.
What's that?
I don't know. I'm just having a moment of, like, lately these last weeks, reflecting a little bit on my whole stance of tolerance, and just I don't know. I feel like I'm having a change in perspective in terms of, is it really good to be completely tolerant of different religious worldviews?
Yeah, that's
the current conflict really fueled some changes in my thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I don't remember if we've talked about this or if I was talking about this on the other live streams, but everyone said this. I mean, the basically the pioneers of classical liberalism, the founding fathers, they all said these freedoms work with people who are going to use them responsibly. It's not going to work. It will break down. It will inevitably break down if you end up with a population that just uses it to do whatever I want. And it's like, Twitter is like a microcosm. So you got Elon coming on. Now you have all these guys on here and they're saying all sorts of horrible things and so on, more so than in the past. And the idea is this is better. My view is I would rather you not interfere with our discussions and so on. But at the end of the day, I do not believe it's going to last. I don't think it's going to last. Like, I think if everyone is just, using it and they're constantly escalating and so on, I don't think it can last. In other words, if you don't have a population that's going to use the freedom responsibly, I think it will inevitably break down. Like, you'll eventually have to say, okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
And I have to say, man, I can't. The sort of one relevant point that Daniel Hakikachu ever makes is, if you really believe in these values and so on, then and you have to defend them on the world stage, you end up like bombing people and so on. So I'm not sure how you can, like, if you say, hey, we're going to be this secular humanist society, what do you do with people who really disagree with the entire framework? Like, it seems like you kind of have to be imposing something on other people who disagree with you and doing something to them. So I don't know.
Bombing is based.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I do not think Matt's entire approach is sufficient. It doesn't work. It works with people. It works with a group of people here in the West who have certain ideas. Those kinds of people can get together and say, hey, here's our values. And hey, can we just all agree to this? Yeah, it can. What do you do when people say, no, I don't agree with that?
Hey guys, here are our values.
Yeah. Okay, Matt's almost done here. We got a few seconds left on that.
Shouts, because we recognize that nearly every attempt at such a list, but life, freedom, and an equitable relationship are the foundation of secular humanism. There is no list of thou shalt not or thou shouts, because we recognize that nearly.
Oh, really? Shall I impose Christianity on you?
attempt at such a list fails at some point as we learn more about our world and about getting better at understanding the world better, about doing better, and being better in this life.
That is very basic, but that is actually a fair objection here, right? So, but what about imposing? Thou shalt not impose.
Yeah. Boy, my goodness, we got 2,940 people watching.
Whoa, we're breaking the 3,000 here.
We just broke the 3,000 mark for the first time on AP's channel yesterday. Are we about to do it here? We're hitting some people like us. I don't know what's going on.
That's fantastic.
I wouldn't listen to us. No, I'm just kidding.
Goal of humanism
probably Mossad
is a free, universal society in which people voluntarily and intelligently.
Look at this. Look at that. Okay, so here's the summary. This again. These are the last 30 seconds or so. Let me back up a little. So he's giving his assessment of what this society would look like.
Every attempt at such a list fails at some point as we learn more about our world and about getting better at understanding the world better, about doing better, and being better in this life. The goal of humanism is a free and universal society in which people voluntarily and intelligently cooperate for the common good.
That's the problem. Let me back that up. You catch that? Hey, we want a society where people freely and voluntarily all agree and we're all on the same page. Like, have you ever learned anything about human nature? I mean, this sounds so beyond ridiculous to me. Like, hey, we want a society where we all freely agree on the same values. We all live it and it's going to be great. And it's like, have you ever met another human being? Have you ever met a bad human being? Like, I get if he's just been hanging out with people, with some like-minded people. Guys, I've been kind of all over. A little trailer park here, so got some hillbilly stuff. Got prison, mental hospitals, the Bronx. I've been all over. Been interacting with jihadis for a really, really long time. Guess what? Most of the world's population does not think like you, Matt. What do you do about it? Oh, we're all just going to freely agree on what? On you? On what? On your view? Oh, this humanist manifesto document. Yeah, well, there it is. Yeah, we're all going to agree on, like, what kind of fantasy land do you live in? This sounds like, I don't know. It sounds as delusional as anything I can think of. And these are the guys claiming to be the champions of science and reason and so on. It's just like, dude, where have you been that you think?
What's your problem? If people don't agree, then you just bomb them.
Yeah, you just kill. That's my point. Explain this. You're saying, no, there are no thou shalt nots, and people can have different views, and we don't impose anything, and we're all just going to freely and voluntarily agree on this. Like, what kind of fantasy land do you live in?
This reminds me of Care Bears. Do you know about Care Bears?
I remember they were a toy and a cartoon.
Yeah, they were these bears.
They had different powers, like heart.
Yeah, they had these hearts and things like that on them. I was actually going to say this reminds me of Utopia by Thomas More, but then I decided to say Care Bears instead.
Yeah, it's the exact same problem over and over again. This is how I think. This makes sense to me. Therefore, just given the opportunity, everyone will agree with me. No, they will not. That's insane. That is insane and ridiculous and stupid. Okay.
Yeah. But if you have an objection to that or a better goal, what is it?
Pretty much anything would be better than absolutely delusional and out of touch with reality.
So thank you for being here, Andrew, and the floor is yours.
You're welcome.
Okay, so he's about to. So we went through Matt's entire opening statement. Now it's going to cut to Andrew. So what are your guys' thoughts on there? Let's go through some super chats before we jump into Andrew's opening statement, and then it's a rage quit. Alex said South Park already did an episode on a world run by atheists. I have to check that out. Huh?
They did?
I have to check. I'd have to check it out. What was that about? Because they're sort of equal opportunity offenders. In other words, they'll just make fun of everyone, which I like. I actually like that. I don't like the people who let's make fun of the easiest target. And look, let's look how good we are at making fun of people. Look, aren't we funny? I like the, hey, let's make fun of everyone.
That's fun.
Joshua says, I got DebateCon 4 signed by all religion debaters, and makes sense David Wood signed the biggest. Yeah, I did. Also, best debater in DebateCon 4. Show your dominance on paper and debate performance. So I showed my dominance in the size of my signature.
Hey, we broke 3,000.
Did we? Whoa,
Yes.
2 days in a row? Guys, you don't understand how huge this is. I mean, we've been live streaming for a while. All of a sudden, yesterday, we never hit 3,000 before. Then we hit 3,000 yesterday. And all of a sudden, we hit 3,000 again today. That's nuts. That's 3,000
We have been
live.
on a roll. Like this whole thing that we started, this going live every weekend, and then also occasionally during the weekdays. This has been a good run. And
It's been a good run. That's pretty cool. Gosh, can you imagine now we got to aim for 4 and then 5?
Yeah. And soon the entire world will watch.
I told people this before, but way back in the day, like before we were messing around with YouTube, when me and Nabil started a blog, and I said, all I want is 1,000 viewers. I mean, 1,000 readers of our blog per day. I said, I don't care about anything in life. I got 1,000 people that I can share my thoughts with. That's it. That's good. I'm good for life. And then, of course, that turned out to not be enough. Because as soon as you hit 1,000, then I gotta have more. Ooh, now I can do YouTube and so on. Point is, I did not start out greedy for attention, but now I have to have more.
Humans are greedy. It is impossible to ever be satisfied. Nobody will ever be satisfied. You will always want more.
Turbo here said, wait, is that from that movie Breakin'? Turbo says, first time donator, have been watching you and AP for years now. Thank you both for your work and intellectual honesty. Super Shekels Inc. We should make a channel, Super Shekels. God bless. Actually, there's a bunch of super chats on here. Let me go through some of these rapid fire, and then we'll get into Andrew's opening statement, and we'll see. So, guys, you saw Matt and his opening statement, and so the question is, maybe I'm missing something, but Andrew did not seem nearly as aggressive or engaging in personal attacks compared to what I thought must be the case if Matt is actually just rage quitting. Matt hangs up on people who disregard and disagree with the existence of trans people on the Atheist Experience.
He's no longer at Atheist Experience. He quit Atheist Experience. I think one of the main reasons was actually something related to that, where he demanded that the Atheist Experience take a step, I don't know, something in that way, and because they wouldn't, he said, okay, then I'm quitting. I'm not going to be here. So he takes that stuff very seriously.
And I have to say, though, even there, notice if you have a show, The Atheist Experience, and you say, hey, you can't talk about this on my show or something like that, guess what? That's your show. It's different if you are invited by a third party to do a debate and then you rage quit the moment anyone says something you disagree with. I mean, let's say, okay, something you strongly disagree with or something like that. Now other people are involved. There are people who came out to see a debate. I mean, there are people who supported it financially and so on. And then you just, oh, no, he said something that I don't like, so I'm rage quitting. Joshua says, AP does not turn to Christ because he wants to be Christian's favorite atheist and not Christian's 12th favorite Christian. Sorry, AP, but Douglas Murray is my favorite atheist now. Ha! In your face. That's kind of funny reasoning, right? AP doesn't want to be a Christian because then he'd be like, pretty far down the list on people's list of favorite Christians, but he could be everyone's favorite atheist. So why not be? It's kind of like better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
I know. I want to be special, and if I convert, then I'm just no longer special. What's the point of that?
Yeah, if he converts, he's not special favorite atheist of everyone.
Yeah.
Google Sucks says, how is secular humanism not a religion in naturalistic atheism? Morality is just as made up as the belief in God, no justice, fairness, equality, etc. This is a difficult concept for certain people to get, but yeah, there's the point here is if you're going to say, hey, I don't believe in God because you can't empirically verify it and put the evidence in front of me and so on. You can apply that exact same reasoning to some moral claim that someone has made. You can apply the exact same thing. Say, what is your proof of that? Prove to me that I shouldn't be a cannibal and eat other people. Prove it. You can impose it on me. You can say you'll punish me for it, but you could impose belief in God and and going to church on somebody. We're not talking about what you can oppose. If I said, hey, prove that to me, if I disagreed. So suppose Jeffrey Dahmer, some of you are young. Jeffrey Dahmer was a cannibal, like back in the,
Love that guy.
Yeah, back in the 90s or whatever, killed and ate a bunch of people, kept their body parts in his fridge, chowed down on them and stuff like that. But notice, if you had Jeffrey Dahmer sitting in the room with you and you're a secular humanist and he says, I don't believe in, I think I should eat people. What's the problem here? We eat cows. We eat cows, right? I can eat a cow. You're going to tell me I can't eat a person? Come on. We got this massive overpopulation problem in the world. I think we need to eat more people. Like, how do you show him he's wrong from your, but look what the secular humanist document says. Okay. What if he doesn't care? What do? How do you make your case to him? That's
what the funny thing is? Jeffrey Dahmer, the entire
cannibalism
time
is not famous, is not funny. Notice everything you're talking about. Talk about genocide, and people are like, what's funny about genocide? So, go ahead.
No, what's funny about Jeffrey Dahmer is that the entire time. So he admitted at one point, he started at some point saying he doesn't believe in God, he doesn't care. But the entire time while he was committing his crimes, while he was killing people and cutting them up and eating them and all of that, he constantly felt horrible about it. And he always thought he was doing something terrible and he deserves the worst punishment that's coming for him. So you wouldn't really have to explain to him that what he's doing is wrong. He already knew that what he was doing is wrong. He just couldn't resist. That's what he...
We're going to have to go through that because I saw him saying that there was a weird sense in which it was spiritual for him. He said like felt like he was consuming their souls or something like that. But there was the other stuff where he was like, "Hey, if I just believe that it's all pointless and meaningless, and you can just do whatever you want, and if I want to eat people, then why not?"
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about Jeffrey Dahmer sometime.
Jeffrey Dahmer revisited and actually go through everything.
Yeah. A hero, a national hero. Just
I'm waiting for Sneeko because he's like he posted a thing. I haven't watched it, but he posted that video. Well, how I came to love the Unabomber and stuff. And it's like, wait, love the Unabomber? Like, how I came to love Jeffrey Dahmer.
And Jeffrey Dahmer also converted to Christianity, by the way, before he died in prison. So yeah, that's also a thing.
More ideas for the Boom Boom Room, Rabin Ebert. Well, how do you think I get all these people? Jamie Glasgow and so on. Yeah, the show would have to get really popular. I have to start posting these before we start, before everyone's going to want to be on the show. Sankei here says, Dillahunty is right. Muhammad talked to Aisha without her parents around, and he was perfect. So I don't see what's wrong here unless you're Islamophobic. Talk about whether you should be talking to kids without their parents and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Apu, Al Puff Daddy, AP, you'll always be our favorite atheist. Farfor lives.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Allah just made it appear like Matt quit. Hashtag pen pals. That's nice. For people who don't know what we're talking about, and I'm sure most of you are, but in Islam, they explain away the crucifixion of Jesus by saying Allah just tricked everyone. And the obvious question is, well, Allah could be making anything appear as anything he wants, so how can you trust your senses even more? That doesn't come from us. Al-Razi, the famous Muslim commentator, noticed that problem.
Yeah.
Al-Ham to Allah is how you pronounce it, right? It's Arabic, right? Yes. Al-Ham to Allah. That is correct.
Al-Ham to Allah. Yeah.
Cannot read this. Rabbi Shmuley can read this.
I agree.
There is no such thing. It's a myth. The Quran says nothing about that. Daniel 5, AP and or D Wood, can you do a deep dive on near-death experiences? We did a show.
We did.
Yeah, we did a show where we went through, I don't remember what we did. Did we watch a video or something? We did a live stream on near-death experiences. But yeah, one of the things what we agreed on was perhaps a lot of this stuff can be explained in terms of what's going on in your brain when parts of it are shutting down and your heart stops or something like that. But what would be interesting to us are cases where it looks like something that you can't explain. That, like if someone dies and said, "Oh, I saw such and such going on in a different place," and then people go and check that and it's true. But we would kind of need some more information. We would need experts on here to kind of explain those situations to us. But yeah.
And we will wait forever. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Cheryl says the supposed Florida don't say gay bill never said gay or straight. Talk about misrepresentation. Yeah, I was wondering because he was talking about something that didn't pass. I was wondering if he was talking about some sort of legislation that that Mike Johnson was. I was wondering if they were talking about something other than Florida. Opinions of youth on TikTok and Osama bin Laden. Bridget, you did a live stream on that, right?
Yeah, I made a live stream on that just a few days ago. I think on Friday or on Thursday. I talked about that. I covered it. I extensively gave my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I got so many requests to talk about that. We were talking right before the show, and maybe we want to do that again. And I said it's basically if it keeps up with people continue talking about it, because that's crazy, and that would actually be more of a problem based on what Matt is talking about. What do you do? What do you do if all of a sudden a bunch of people and it just becomes cool to praise bin Laden? Like, what do you do? What do you do as a secular humanist? Are you going to say, thou shalt not praise bin Laden? What are you going to do?
What's so interesting about that is around the time that 9/11 happened, people who were young adults back then, they wouldn't have come out and said, "Oh, guys, you know what? I just read the letter to America by Osama bin Laden, and guys, it's he has a point. He really had a point." This happens after 20 years, with a disconnection, with a generation that didn't really, that wasn't really conscious back then. Those people are now emerging on TikTok and saying, guys, I read this and wow, there are actually quite some interesting points in there. I agree with him. He was quite right. I mean, can you imagine early young adults back then saying dumb stuff like this about Osama bin Laden's letter?
Yeah, and it's crazy when you got the same people and they're like cheering for Hamas and so on. And so, so notice, apart from massive social engineering, like how do you deal with that? This goes back to what we're talking about. If we're going to say, hey, freedom of speech, and we're going to freely agree with Matt Dillahunty and the secular humanist manifesto and so on, we're just going to agree on that. What happens when a bunch of people say, hey, we really love bin Laden and hey, Hamas is great? What do you do? What do you do, Matt?
Bombs.
I do not. You bomb them all. Hello, outsiders. Yeah. So anyway, if this keeps up, we'll probably end up doing another show on that where we're both on there. Hello, outsiders. I thought I was bi till I found Christ. Now I see a clear connection between societal breakdown and sexual disorder in society. No thanks to that. Romans 1:18-27 is the past 100 years in a nutshell. Yeah, AP. And then got the eyeballs pointing at AP.
Yeah.
Constantine here said, the Constantine? My life has value because my monkey ancestors valued their lives. Matt Dillahunty. Why are you guys messing with Matt's name?
Terrible.
You guys should break down the Dyer versus Dillahunty debate. I haven't seen it. I wouldn't mind. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind that, doing some shows where we actually review debates and so on.
Wait, they had a debate? Oh, interesting.
AP be like, Hitler was terrible. However, he was just trying to do good.
I have always been interested in analyzing and further understanding the villains and the anti-heroes. I feel like I always had this tendency to do that. So,
yeah, and things have been more realistic, like even in shows and so on in recent years, like back in the 1960s and 1970s, like comic book villains would be part of organizations called the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Oh, yeah.
Get together and try to do evil. And it's like, no, Magneto doesn't think he's trying to do evil. He thinks he's trying to do good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Views created by Taliban and Osama bin Laden. Views USO has created Taliban and Osama bin Laden.
No.
Andrew has the best debate channel on YouTube, The Crucible. Yeah, he says that. He mentions The Crucible when he's talking. James begged him to come because he's a great debater. Good day, sir. Okay, so, yeah, you thought he was on Rumble. Let's look up The Crucible real quick. That's a YouTube channel, not a Rumble channel, right, everyone?
Oh, okay.
The Crucible debate.
Isn't that a book? Isn't there a book? Where is that?
Oh, there's a channel called The Crucible. Oh, that is him here. Oh, hey, he's got... Okay, so The Crucible.
Oh, that's funny. I'm thinking of a book which is about the Salem witch trials.
That's 16,000 subscribers. That can't be the best. That can't be the top debate channel.
Yeah.
Love watching you guys while I'm at work, and we love it when people watch us at work and then screw up their work, and you say, "Hey, why'd you screw that up?" And they say, "I'm watching David Wooden AP," and the boss goes, "Really? What's this?" And then it just spreads like that. I'm fairly new here, but I love how AP isn't dogmatically atheist. He seems to have a great deal of openness to religion. Love you both. Also, any book recommendations? Book recommendations on what?
How dare you talk to me about religion?
It's just random book recommendations. Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis. Awesome book. I have no clue how anyone hasn't made that into a movie, because it's like up there with like Lord of the Rings in my mind. It's not. It's way shorter, but as far as like the awesomeness of the story, it's up there with Lord of the Rings. And no one makes it into a movie. Why? Anti-Christian bias.
Movie or book recommendations. Quran.
Alhamdulillah. Zippy AP, his belief, he is an atheist, jihadi, half-orc alpaca. And yes, it was part 1 of the new interview.
Oh, okay.
So now you know. The Quran would be superior to the Bible alone, but that's only because it would be a bunch of unintelligible gibberish that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, man.
Let's see. Pray for him like Sam. Will communist China and Islamic jihadis ever go to war?
I think that China has a very clear outlook into the future. People often speculate about China and war, but China doesn't want war. China is not interested in going to war. They just want to manipulate and lead through markets.
And and jihadis don't focus on them. Even if they're putting Muslims into camps over there, into concentration camps and so on, they still just jihadis focus on the West. Yeah. They focus on, and you can understand this when they focus on traditional opponents. They focus on Christians and Jews. It's just what they do. And so, what do you do with Chinese?
Yeah, China, I think they would be too afraid to experience internal collapse if they went to war. They would rather just, work.
Yeah, I think China's sitting back there going, "Oh, look at the rest of the world about to go to war, and we'll just be over here in China."
Yeah, China.
Free Kaibar? Yes, indeed. RM, justice and fairness seen in social intelligent species like whales and lions are natural traits aiding survival and makes them apex predators, not unique to humans, showing their natural bio roots. Yeah, you can say that this is some sort of trait in a species or something like that. That's very different from saying that there is from language of moral obligation, saying you have a moral obligation to do this. I mean, a lion will move into another pride and kill all the baby lions in that pride to make room for its own offspring. It does that by nature. So saying that I do this or I'm wired to do this is not a claim to have a moral obligation to do it. So you can have all sorts of like a herd instinct, and you can have some sort of basic level of morality. What do you say when someone says, "No, I'm not doing that. I actually see things completely differently"? That's the question. Love your Europa Universalis LOL epic game. This is what you guys do? Sit around playing video games all day?
It's amazing, man. Yeah.
Joshua says, won't allow super chat about what Mojab did wrong. Please look in chat with Apologetics Roadshow. Not sure what that's about. It's not allowing you to comment on that sort of thing. I mean, keep in mind, super chat sometimes has rules about what words you can use and so on. So I don't know what that is. From the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea, Khaybar. You got to have multiple. Khaybar will be free.
Yeah.
Man, there's a bunch of super chats. I don't think I can get through all these. We got to go
From the sea
on
to the
war.
sea, Eurasia will be free.
Okay, bye. Love you, nerds. My brain is soup. That's how I feel most. That's how I feel most of the day. Can Matt empirically verify why we shouldn't kill people? That's what I'm pointing out. Like, you could say, hey, we all agree on this and so on. Guess what? Historically, not everyone agrees on that. You've got groups that disagree with that. You can't just say, because we agree on this, even if it's a value, even if we all agreed on it, you can't just say, hey, we agreed on it, therefore it's been verified or something like that. That's just silly nonsense.
But you can say that. I can say you just said
say
it.
No,
You just
thou shalt not say it.
Yeah.
Debate about if anyone's confused about why this stuff keeps coming up about sex toys and stuff, you have to watch the discussion. This is all Muhammad Hijab. Thanks to Muhammad Hijab for always sending the conversation in a totally perverted direction.
Thank you,
Golden showers. Jizya for D Wood, do you have a contact I can reach you at? Will you guys have a leather strap on your turkey this year? If no, any plans?
I will, yeah.
This year, Thanksgiving. You can go to the Answering Islam website and you can get my email there. There's a section. You go to individual authors, and then you can send me an email there.
Inshallah.
Joshua,
Well,
have you seen?
Let's listen to what the guy said. I want to listen to the Andrew Wilson.
Okay, let me just read this super chat real quick, and then we'll jump into that. Joshua says, have you seen Trent Horn destroys Islam and prophethood of Muhammad? I don't agree with Catholic doctrine, but Trent Horn does some good things. I actually saw, when I went to get this video, I don't think we're actually going to get to it, his comments on this debate, but I went to his page to get it. And when I went to his page to get it, I saw another video of titled like why he's not a Muslim or something like that. And I'm actually interested in that. And we might, in a future live stream, just go through that video, because I'm interested in people's reasons for saying that they converted to Islam, like going through those, and for people's reasons for saying they don't believe in Islam. And so those are good topics for super chats. All right, you ready to go?
Well, I already know why they converted to Islam. It's because they thought about everything. They traveled the entire world and studied every single religion.
They studied everything.
Yeah, and then they eventually realized the truth that Islam is true. So it's simple. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, let's listen to
so powerful, not confusing like the doctrine of the Trinity. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go on to Andrew.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Wilson. I am the host of the one and only Crucible, the fastest growing debate channel on the internet. James, I just in case you didn't know. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate everybody.
I've never heard of it.
Now we know.
All of you are way too stodgy in this room. Very low energy. Just wanted to let all of you know that. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's a good way to start out. You're all too stodgy. You're low energy. That's a good way to start off a debate. I thought about starting off my recent debate going, putting up like a Bayesian, putting up the argument, but in Bayesian form, and then saying, guys, if you understood what this says, you would all agree with me. This debate would be over. But you don't know what this means. So I'm going to have to spend this entire debate explaining it to you. Why are we here? Because of your ignorance. I thought about starting like that just to see what would happen.
If you want to put people to sleep, you can put that argument up there. That will probably work.
But I've noticed like people like Andrew Tate just comes out insulting all his fans and stuff, and they love it.
Yeah. Are you idiots? What's up, losers? Yeah.
Of all pronouns, the Z's, the Zers, the hims, and hers, I would like to thank you for tuning in today for this exciting.
Hey, he says, hey, thank you all, Z's, Zers, hims, and hers. So this guy's totally trans-friendly. I don't know what Matt's flipping out about.
Yeah, but
we'll see what else he says.
Person conference on modern day debate. My name is Andrew Wilson. There's a few ways this debate can go. The topic is Christian ethics versus secular humanism. Which has a better foundation? The funny thing is, I already won that topic because, as Matt explained to Jay Dyer, he has no justification under the skeptical belief structure to give an accounting for any meta-ethical presupposition he may have. He just kind of grants himself stuff.
Did he say that was with Jay Dyer? Because people have already
Yeah.
brought up that debate. Okay, I'd be interested in watching that then, because that's exactly the concern. If he's saying he has no, which is my concern, if you have no basis for any sort of meta-ethical positions and so on, how do you? Yeah,
That sounds based.
very based.
He grants himself logic, he grants himself reason, he grants himself an entire worldview, even though he's using an unjustified starting position for it. So I'm not honestly all that interested in doing the God not real dough debate because, one, it's boring, and two, it's also really boring. It goes like this. I don't see enough evidence and remain unconvinced there's a God. Then I say, but you use a theistic worldview of justification like there is a God to grant yourself logic and everything else. So instead of that, I'm just going to grant Matt's entire worldview. 2/3 or more of this entire planet are all operating inside of a shared delusion that they were created by a sky daddy who loves him some slavery and murderousness. He thinks
I somehow missed this when I was listening to it earlier. He's saying, "Hey, I grant his entire worldview, and 2/3 of the world's population are a bunch of horrible morons believing in delusions of Sky Daddy and want to support slavery on everyone else."
it's funny to kind of cosmically with people. That's his deal, kind of his whole thing. That's Matt's worldview. So now Matt's right, and the question becomes, should we let them to continue to believe in this nonsensical Stone Age madness, or do we stop them from engaging in it?
Yeah, there you go. Matter of fact, that ties in with this one right here. We have this comment here. What's that?
The way he started, I kind of think, well, what a jerk. Like, really, do you really have to do this? But then just now when he started doing this bit, it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, look at this. So we have a response to what we were bringing up earlier about what do you do when people disagree with you? And then here's the comment. You don't have to bomb them. You can lead by example while allowing those who disagree to run their own societies. U.S. used to be like that. Notice, so no. If people disagree with your society, you don't have to bomb them. You can just lead by example. Guys, have you looked around at the world? It doesn't work like that. Yes, you can influence people. You can lead by example and so on. What happens when people say, nope, don't want to go in that direction. Screw you. In fact, you're bad and we want to destroy you. What do? How do you avoid what do you have beside the bombs to navigate those situations?
I don't know what people are talking about. I think any chance, any opportunity to bomb should be used.
Yeah, and I want to clarify, I'm not advocating bombing people. I'm saying, okay, if you say this and we're all going to have this society of shared values and we all willingly agree to all live according to these values, like Fantasyland, on what planet are people going to agree on all these things? And what do you do when individuals in your society disagree and say, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. What do you do? Oh, you lead by example. Okay, well, great. Look around at the world and see how well that works.
Why not just bomb?
Like what kind of fantasy land are you living? I'll just lead by example. What if people disagree with you saying, look what this person does. Look what this person does. He's doing it and I don't like it. So you think you're setting some great example and you're not. The person's looking at that saying, I disagree with that. I hate that. That's wrong. And what do you do with that person who thinks, actually you're a horrible example because you disagree with them? That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. Yeah. Notice in similar, matter of fact, that's actually perfect example, right? It's like how things work in your head. Jordan Peterson says, I'll solve the problem between Muslims and Jews and everything. And I'll just say, get a pen pal. That's what Matt sounds like to me. Like, we'll just do this. We'll all agree on these shared values. Where have you been living? Where? You guys can't agree on anything. You and the atheist, you're breaking up for a reason. There's a reason you guys are splitting apart. What basis do you have for agreement on anything when someone says, actually, I've thought about this too. I come to a completely different conclusion from you. What do you do? Because he's saying you don't have these thou shalt nots. And so, okay, what do you do? All right.
Well, we'll find out.
You get a pen pal. And then you all agree.
Yeah, how about you bomb your pen pal?
Let me back up and see what he says here that AP found so compelling and awesome. What?
So instead of that, I'm just going to grant
AP converts to orthodoxy after hearing powerful presentation by Andrew. Okay, so I'm backing up to where he says he's granting Matt's entire worldview as far as how he views religion and so on.
Matt's entire worldview. 2/3 or more of of this entire planet are all operating inside of a shared delusion that they were created by a sky daddy who loves him some slavery and murderousness. He thinks it's funny to kind of cosmically with people. That's his deal, kind of his whole thing. That's Matt's worldview. So now Matt's right, and the question becomes, should we let them to continue to believe in this nonsensical Stone Age madness, or do we stop them from engaging in it? My contention is, even if God isn't real at all, that people acting as though he is still superior to whatever nonsensical egalitarian worldview Matt can come up with.
Did everyone catch that? I did not catch that earlier when I listened to it. Listened to it a few hours ago. But that, so he says, let's grant Matt's worldview. And matter of fact, this sounds kind of in the ballpark of someone who's thinking along the lines that Ayaan Hirsi Ali is thinking is going. So suppose, according to Matt's worldview, the vast majority of the world's population are completely delusional, and they believe in a sky daddy who, loves slavery and violence and everything else, and wants us all to be doing that. And if you're a secular humanist and you're looking at that, what do you do about that? What do you do? And so he's saying his position. So this is Andrew saying it's his position that it's actually, even if we granted Matt's worldview, it's actually better. It's actually better for people to believe in God and so on. And I guess he's going to be laying out a case for that.
That's funny.
But I didn't remember him saying that. I do remember where he goes with his case that forces Matt to rage quit.
That's Matt funny. Also just acts as though the things he believes are true. He believes, and therefore acts as though logic is real, math is real. Everything is real based on his presuppositional belief that they are real. You see, human flourishing, the cornerstone of Matt's ideology and that of secular humanism, is totally meaningless. Flourishing by whose metric? From my perspective, for instance, attempting to lie to people who claim men can be women isn't human flourishing. From Matt's perspective, it is.
Whoa. Actually, this is a more interesting argument. I just thought he just started poking at Matt based on trans stuff. He's actually saying, okay, if we just take Matt's worldview and then we decide that human flourishing is the goal, he's saying something similar to what I was saying earlier. How do you decide? So he's saying, oh, this is actually interesting. Okay, he's making a better argument than I caught the first time. So I had basically, when I heard other people saying like, oh, he just came out and he's a big jerk, so that's what I thought. And then I listened to it earlier, but I kind of am loosely listening to it. And then now he's saying, okay, grant Matt's view. We're all going to just make decisions based on human flourishing and so on. Okay, if I say that trans stuff, saying boys are girls, girls are boys or whatever, is bad for human flourishing, and you say it's good for human flourishing, what do you do? That looks like where he's going with this.
It's actually not a bad argument, and I think thinking back several years ago, I had such a thought where I thought, collectively seen certain ideas that are nowadays progressive might not be in the best interest of humanity in the long run, might be contrary to flourishing, which is why even if we take human flourishing as a basis, we should probably not allow those things. I did agree at that point very much with what he's saying right now, and he has a point. I mean, the argument is sound. it is sound, but of course that's a whole different matter that you need to further discuss.
And this ties into what I was saying. Like, okay, suppose we all agree, because Matt's saying, hey, we're going to willingly agree that this is what we need to do and so on. So we agree on this value. Suppose we agree we need to seek human flourishing. And I say this is bad for human flourishing, and you say it's good for human flourishing, because we both have a different idea of what human flourishing is. How do you then come to an agreement on the relevant sort of human flourishing? No. Yes, okay, your human flourishing is real human flourishing. My view of human flourishing, you're right. You proved me wrong. That's not human flourishing. How do you navigate those? Because again, Matt seems to think, some of this will somehow be empirically verifiable, and so on. No, it's values based. And you have to have some basis for saying that this is a better value or something like that.
Yeah, it might seem totally easy. It might be presented as totally easy, but even when you agree on human flourishing, you will have an endless discussion on what exactly will cause more human flourishing.
And a lot of the problem for Matt, for the new atheists in general, for lots of people in Western society, is that we have come to agree on lots of values after like centuries and centuries of working through things. And that's why you look around and say, oh, this is what people think. This is just how people think. And then then that causes us to get the brilliant idea, well, let's just get rid of Saddam Hussein, and then then Iraq can have the same mentality and values as us. And then we do it, and what do you get? You get ISIS. It's like, wait, what happened there? What happened there? Oh, they didn't have the same values. They didn't think the same way. That's strange. I thought that we all had the same. I thought all human beings thought like this.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
All right. Okay, so he is making a more interesting argument than I was aware of, and would have actually liked to see what Matt thought about this argument.
I must say I agree.
Why should the collective of
What's that?
I must say I agree.
You agree with Andrew?
No, I agree that he's making a more interesting argument than I thought.
Yeah, so it looks like, and we'll see this in a minute, but it looks like Matt he's speaking negatively about trans stuff, and his actual argument is more along the lines of, even if I agree with Matt and I say, okay, we're just going to go with human flourishing, what happens when I say this is human flourishing and you say that's human flourishing? What do we do here? That's what it looks like. All right, here we go.
For instance, attempting to lie to people who claim men can be women isn't human flourishing. From Matt's perspective, it is. Why? Why should the collective of humanity lie and say men can get pregnant? Why should they say that men can have periods? Things which are categorically and obviously false. That preserving homosexuality in society is good for human flourishing, even though they are reproductive dead ends. And that Western society and egalitarianism is superior to those evil theist society, even though the Western nations can't even reproduce their own populations, but instead have to replace their population with foreigners from those theist nations that can reproduce.
Did you catch that? So he talks about, notice, my goodness, this is way more well thought out. You can say the examples he's using are meant to upset Matt or something like that, but the actual argument significantly more interesting. So he's saying, look at the direction we actually go with this. So if we're talking about human flourishing, and I say, hey, this is not good for human flourishing, and I say, look at what happens if, given the route that Matt wants to go, you end up with lower birth rates, and then you need to replace the people who are dying, and you don't have enough people being born because your birth rates have plummeted. And therefore, what are you going to do to keep your population going? You're going to import a bunch of jihadis. That's what you're going to do. You're going to import them from somewhere else, and they're going to have different values. What do you do? In other words, your entire system is incoherent and breaking down.
Yeah.
The point is, he's saying, hey, if you think about Matt, your view is you want your kind of human flourishing, and you expect your kind of human flourishing to be the best flourishing. If we go with what your human flourishing is, your birth rates drop. You need to import more people, bring in more people. They're going to come, and you're not going to have your kind of human flourishing. So your human flourishing actually would destroy itself instantly. Interesting.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't really agree with the conclusions, and I think it's a very simple example and argument. And I'm not sure if you can actually evaluate human flourishing based on fertility when you talk about homosexuality and all of that. But that said, he is making actual arguments here. I don't see any.
Yeah, this is not just him insulting. Yeah.
Yeah, he's making actual arguments that should be considered.
Yeah, and going along the lines with what you said, so what you could say is, from the perspective of human flourishing, and if you held to Matt's position, I think Matt could respond, well, if we recognize that as a flaw, we can adapt. We can do things to encourage more reproduction or something like you could say. You could say, so just because that's the way things have been going for secular human, for people in the secular world and so on, we end up having the lowest birth rates. We could, in theory, come up with ways to not have that. So it wouldn't be a sort of necessary feature of this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. And again, would have been good to see Matt Deal respond to that.
I know that's the thing. So far, what I'm hearing here right now is the guy, as much as I or you might not agree with the ideas, he's actually raising valid points that would be very interesting. It would be very interesting to see this unfold, to see responses to this, to see how this continues. So I'm interested.
But you're not going to.
Let's start with a basic societal question recently asked of the West, who has now embraced a scientific and non-theistic approach to governing. Super basic question every kindergartner knows. If you don't believe me, go watch Kindergarten Cop. The question posed to the Western nation is, can a man...
It's not a tumor. If you haven't seen Kindergarten Cop, you don't know what I was just talking about, AP.
No idea.
Yeah, I saw Kindergarten Cop in high school.
that can reproduce. Let's start with a basic societal question recently asked of the West, who has now embraced a scientific and non-theistic approach to governing. Super basic question every kindergartner knows. If you don't believe me, go watch Kindergarten Cop. The question posed to the Western nation is, can a man be a woman? Right? To the question of if a man can be a woman, they say the answer is yes. And the way we will decree they can be a woman is by simply saying that woman now means male. Problem solved. Thank you, secular humanists. Thank you so much. Nope, not kidding. Why, you ask, would people be this over-the-top stupid? Well, it's simple. The good is the good, man. We have to do what's good for human society and human flourishing. And if you don't call these deranged lunatics something they obviously aren't, they might self-terminate. So in order to avoid that, we need to make everybody on planet Earth lie to them.
That was the objection with the
that
was, as far as I recall, that was the basis for Matt rage quitting, called them deranged lunatics. So, but notice I mean, he could have used different language and made the exact same point.
But even then, self-terminate maybe play this part again, because once you pay attention to it, it sounds pretty messed up.
Yeah, it sounds messed up. But he's saying, okay, so I have one view of human flourishing, and you have another view of human flourishing, and we say, okay, why should we say that girls can be boys now and boys can be girls? So why? So notice he's asking, how would you distinguish between those two? And you say, well, this view is good. And you say, why is it good? And the argument you would give, so he's saying how you would actually defend that this is good for human flourishing. The answer you give is because, well, if you don't affirm them, then they're gonna kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, and by the way, I have seen that argument from representatives of that position. So you can say he's being mean by saying deranged lunatics or something like that. That is a claim that for the flourishing of these people, you can't be telling them there's something wrong with them, or that would have a negative impact on them or something like that. But yeah, let's go back and see exactly what he says here.
It's by simply saying that woman now means male. Problem solved. Thank you, secular humanists. Thank you so much. Nope, not kidding. Why, you ask, would people be this over-the-top stupid? Well, it's simple. The good is the good, man. We have to do what's good for human society and human flourishing. And if you don't call these deranged lunatics something they obviously aren't, they might self-terminate. So in order to avoid that, we need to make everybody on planet Earth lie to them. This is human flourishing.
Yeah, okay. So I have to say, so far, the things that he said, the arguments that he raised, seem very interesting, very, very interesting stuff. But here it takes a turn and it becomes slightly becomes a little bit twisted because, yes, you might have strong opinions on this stuff. You and I, we have strong opinions on things, but when you go into a debate, and you have an opponent and you make your points in opening statement, I don't know, there, choosing your words correctly, choosing your words wisely is probably a good idea. If you feel about something so strongly, but then you go into it and then you call your opponent basically something stupid, and then you don't call them deranged lunatics because you're afraid that they might self-terminate. I mean, this is just a single line of, crossing a lot of red lines there. So I can see why somebody would say, oh, you know what, I'm not engaging in this, and walk out.
Yeah, so the argument he's raising, I think this is a very legitimate argument to raise in a debate about whether secular humanism is actually whether it can even work, whether it can work. So again, following the argument, suppose we agree on human flourishing, that this is the goal. Okay, well, I say this is bad for human flourishing. You say it's good for human flourishing. So who's to judge that dispute? And so you say, but this thing that we're aiming at is good here. This is good. So saying that girls can transition to boys, that boys can transition to girls, and so on, we believe that's good. And so you say, how would you defend that as good? And you say, because there would be bad consequences if you didn't affirm this sort of thing, then that's going to have a negative impact on them. That would be bad, and so on. So as far as that, I think that is a good argument to have in this discussion. But yeah, so the question is the language. And I think the reasoning as far as Matt is concerned is if you view yourself as like someone who's standing up for the trans community, and this guy's sitting here calling them deranged lunatics and saying, the only argument a secular humanist can have really is, well, it's good for human flourishing that we affirm this, because if not, they'll kill themselves. But you're calling them deranged lunatics and so on.
I mean, it is a good argument to have, but really, it's like it goes a little bit too far. It makes light of something that the other side might take very seriously, which is a serious thing, which is suicide.
And I mean, especially if you've got a trans person or two sitting in the audience right there watching, you definitely have trans people who are watching the debate and so on. And so,
it's like, I mean, you have to consider that you are talking to humans. You're not talking to to somebody uninvolved, just watching this, who has strong opinions like Andrew here. This might seem like, hey, what's the problem? Yes, he says exactly what needs to be said. But to other people who don't quite see it that way, and to personally deal with these things, they will not take it the same way. And we are dealing with humans. You can, as much as you want, say, well, snowflakes, feelings, this and that. It doesn't matter. You are dealing with humans. Humans have what you call emotions. And you are debating here in public in order to appeal to people's thoughts and people's emotions. If you come like this, in this way, you will lose people, and you shouldn't be surprised about that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking in terms of, okay, if you had a person who is really, really nice and always respectful in debates and so on, and then you started talking like this, that's one thing. But you've got Matt, and yeah, according to Matt, people who are religious are deluded and stupid and everything else. And so, in terms of consistency, how consistent is it for Matt to get upset by something like that? I think it can be defended somewhat, in that if you're calling religious people stupid, well, we're kind of used to that sort of thing, and it's not the sort of an issue where not a lot of religious people are, could say, oh, okay, this atheist is making fun of me, I'm going to go kill myself or something like that. you do have in the trans community that there is that there are higher rates of suicide and things like that. And so Matt's position could be, this is it. Yeah, I call you all deluded. I call you Christians deluded and stuff. You guys don't kill yourselves over this stuff. It's an actual concern in the trans community that there are these issues. And so you shouldn't be using that kind of language in this sort of situation. That's the only I'm trying to figure out on what basis Matt could say, hey, even though I've been calling these guys morons and delusional and talking about how they, at the end of the day, they all love slavery and want to go on a killing spree and stuff like that. And that's what they believe. How do you go from that to then saying, oh, well, you talked about this. And so he'd have to say, oh, it's a different situation. And I don't know. I think that's the way.
I would say if I was in his position, I would probably not have walked out. I mean, I debated with people who said to me that I deserve to be executed. I just sat there and continued talking to them. It's everyone's choice what they do with this. I would say the arguments are interesting from Andrew. But the way he put this specific issue, I can't blame Matt for what he did in the end. I have to be. I guess that's the nuance that I see here. That's as charitable I can be to either side.
As far as Matt being someone who has heaped, insults and derided people who believe in Christianity or Islam or whatever for years, for him to get offended at people saying there's something wrong with your position and your this group or something like that doesn't seem entirely consistent.
You're just saying it's atheistophobic.
Yeah, I can't. I'm like you. It doesn't seem to me to say, oh, Matt should have walked off stage. Worst case scenario, he should have brought that up. Said, hey, guy, hey, there are people who actually struggle with this, and using this kind of language is not good. So please, matter of fact, I would have said, hey, if you're a Christian, you actually believe in even if you believe they're deluded and that it's problematic, it's probably not a good idea to talk about them in this way because of the higher suicide rates or something like that. So why don't we use the rhetoric for each other, but kind of leave this group out of it or something like that.
I guess this is what people meant when they said that he's a jerk, which I see again here in the chat repeatedly, that he's kind of a big jerk. This is what people, I guess, meant. So I don't know. I guess if you can dial it down a little bit and then continue with the arguments, because they were quite interesting. I disagree completely, but I was interested in the argument. But when it gets to this, it ruins it.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, I think that if he wouldn't have said that right there, if he wouldn't have said deranged lunatics will self-terminate, I don't think Matt would have left. I think the debate would have continued and so on.
Yeah.
The next Zachar Naik says, Mossad bought 3,000 bots to watch you guys. Here's part of your check from the Jews. They said, keep up the great work at promoting the cause. Yep. Mossad.
I was going to say that earlier. I was going to say that too.
It's great working for Mossad, man.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Just redefine shit, pretend it's true. How laughably absurd this worldview is. Matt will often say, I remain unconvinced. Well, Matt, I'm also going to use your standard. I need for you to 100% convince me beyond a shadow of a doubt that males can have babies. What's the answer going to be? No, Andrew, you big stupid. Males can't have babies. Men can have babies. As we just defined man to include females, dummy. Well, Matt, I remain unconvinced. I'd like
pause real quick for this comment from Solitary Emmy. I remember so she said I just wanted to highlight Jeffrey Dahmer watched Kent Hovind's creation seminar and repented in prison to follow Jesus. Evolution was a lie. I do remember his interview.
That's
Dahmer's,
what you watched? Really?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Kent Hovind thing, but he said in his last interview on NBC Dateline, that's where he was saying, hey, if you believe it's all pointless, what reason, he says, what reason do you have to modify your behavior to bring it in within whatever society considers acceptable ranges? He goes, that's how I thought. And he said, at the end, he said, I've since become convinced that Jesus Christ is Lord and that I will give an account to him. So I recall that. I also saw that he was still treating the cannibalism like a laughing matter, and it was one of the reasons a guy got ticked off and killed him. So yeah, maybe we'll do a Jeffrey Dahmer investigation one day and try to get to the bottom of the whole Jeffrey Dahmer story.
Yeah, apparently he was joking in prison about human bodies.
Yeah, I heard. I saw he would shape his mashed potatoes in the shape of a person and start eating it and stuff like that. So he's still considering it joking. But I mean, at the same day, even Christian guys will joke about their crimes. So I don't know what to think. All right.
Matt, to convince me that if you are a male and you are having sex with another male, which would not be allowed in my version of a secular humanist worldview, how is it that you're not just basically having sex with a guy with a wig on? I really want to know the answer to that question.
Oh, now I get it. So now it's personal. If Matt is again, I've only heard this that he's dating a trans. I'm not sure about the exact language. Dating a trans woman. Yeah. So I think that. So yeah, this might have been getting a little personal, even though he's talking about hypothetical. But let's see what he said back. So make sure I didn't miss anything.
Convince me that if you are a male and you are having sex with another male, which would not be allowed in my version of a secular humanist worldview, how is it that you're not?
Oh, this is interesting. So yeah, I don't know if I misinterpreted some of his stuff, but yeah, I thought he was saying he was going to impose his view on everyone else, but now it's all hypothetical. It's if I'm secular humanist and you're secular humanist and I define human flourishing like this and you define it like that, and I say I don't want to allow this in my secular humanist society because I think it's bad and you say no, it's good. Okay, he's given a different sort of argument than I thought he was doing.
Yeah.
And that's why we break it down and listen to it carefully.
To be honest, I don't think that in this case, right here, where he's getting personal with, being in a relationship with a man with a wig on, I would say I don't think this is really, really, really bad. I mean, it's probably. I don't think
it's more like of all the examples that he could pick to illustrate this, he picked one that he knows is going to upset Matt.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of the issue, right? Because you could have brought up a ton of different issues. He picked one that I think he knows is going to upset Matt.
Okay, yeah, that makes
male
sense.
And you are having sex with another male, which would not be allowed in my version of a secular humanist worldview. How is it that you're not just basically having sex with a guy with a wig on? I really want to know the answer to that question. Not just me, but all rational people who aren't lunatics also want to know why it's ma'am isn't a complete and total crock of garbage. Because
little side note here. As far as Friedrich Nietzsche in the Boom Boom Room, I think AP, you could pull off a Nietzsche.
Oh yeah, I would love to.
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence either that the other person you want to play in the Boom Boom Room is the guy with the little mustache. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I love people with mustaches. That's why.
So, you got the guy with the big mustache and the guy with the little mustache.
Yeah.
In
Nietzsche
my version of a secular humanist worldview, how is it that you're not just basically having sex with a guy with a wig on? I really want to know the answer to that question. Not just me, but all rational people who aren't lunatics also want to know why it's ma'am isn't a complete and total crock of garbage. Because I remain
okay. Going back to the language.
Yeah, this is a bit. He's a bit of a jerk. This is too much, I would say.
in my version of a secular humanist worldview. How is it that you're not just basically having sex with a guy with a wig on? I really want to know the answer to that question. Not just me, but all rational people who aren't lunatics.
There you go. So all rational people who aren't lunatics.
Nah. Can't do that.
And here again, I don't know. It's weird because again, the new atheists are we're the rational ones. Everyone else is the lunatic. They're all lunatics. They're all deluded, delusions, bunch of morons, blah blah blah. Religitards, they call us. Remember, religitards and so on. And then we're actually the sane ones. We're the rational ones, and you're lunatics. And then it's So the only possible consistent basis here, I think, would be Matt saying, okay, there are different categories of people here.
But the thing is, I'm not sure if I've ever heard. I know that Matt Dillahunty is a jerk too when he speaks. I mean, I was a co-host on Atheist Experience with him at one point, and
see, that's why you agree with him on everything.
and somebody called in and was a very, very nice person and was ill, and he was a complete jerk to her on the phone. And I know this, and he knows it too. He knows that he's a jerk, but I'm not sure if I ever heard him speak this way about his opponent, or about religious people in general, just or especially about his opponent. I can't say about religious people, but especially about his opponent in such a generalizing, categorizing way that Adam just did here, which is, if you're not, what did he say, lunatics, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
All lunatics would agree, whatever he just said.
Yeah,
this is all petty stuff.
Everyone's who's rational and not a deranged lunatic.
Yeah, this is all very petty stuff, but it's just, there's no reason to do this.
Quick check AP's fridge for body parts. Gewalt.
No, don't.
Since he sides with every creepo ever.
Don't check.
The Bondage of Will by Jeffrey Dahmer. The Bondage of the Will by Jeffrey Dahmer. Is that something you wrote? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I'm not familiar with that.
I want to know why It's Ma'am isn't a complete and total crock of garbage. Because I remain unconvinced that it isn't a total lie, and that these people don't just pervert the language to include their own perversions and then add human flourishing at the end. Matt has said he will.
Now, notice the point right there. You can take anything and just say it's human flourishing and just add, and this is human flourishing at the end. So it's like he could have made the exact same points without calling people lunatics, and Matt would have had no basis for justifying rage quitting. You know what I mean? So
that's what
yeah,
I mean. These are interesting arguments, but they could have been done in a better way.
Make a law stopping 9-year-olds from having sex with each other.
Let's back up, because Matt also complained about this.
Oh yeah, this is interesting.
Let's see.
I'm convinced that it isn't a total lie, and that these people don't just pervert the language to include their own perversions and then add human flourishing at the end. Matt has said he wouldn't make a law stopping 9-year-olds from having sex with each other. Not kidding. Now, I know this is going to sound a little bit totalitarian, but I would in fact create laws that made it a crime for a 9-year-old to have sex with their 9-year-old. I would hold the parents criminally liable for allowing this to happen in my evil authoritarian society.
I'm not sure he actually misrepresented Matt there, because he didn't say Matt approves of 9-year-olds having sex. He said Matt said he wouldn't make a law against 9-year-olds having sex with each other. IP said the same thing.
Yeah.
And this guy's saying, no, I would make it did he say he would make it a law for the parents that would arrest the parents? Let's see what he said real quick. The point is, I don't think he misrepresented Matt there. Matt claims he misrepresented him or something like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's sensationalizing this a little bit. Like, IP said the same thing. IP said I wouldn't make a law, and that was the whole discussion with Kikuchu. But yeah, let's see what he said.
Yeah. So again, the idea here is, so for anyone who's not familiar with the background, so the great Dai Daniel Hakikachu was defending child marriage. And you have to marry off kids when they're young, because if you don't, then they're going to start having sex outside of marriage. And so in order to stop that, you got to marry them off while they're young. And then Inspiring Philosophy didn't agree that that's a good idea. And so the response from Daniel Hakikachu is, well, what if kids do? What if 9-year-olds have sex? What do you do then? What if 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds? What if kids do have sex? Should you make a law against that? And the idea here is, like you might want to say, oh yeah, you need to stop that, but like what? You're going to throw kids in prison for that? Like what are you going to do? What's the solution? What do you do here? I mean, generally, with some very rare exceptions like school shootings and so on, you generally don't punish young people the same way you punish older people. You really don't punish 9-year-olds the way that you punish adults. Sometimes they'll punish like a 15 or 16-year-old and so on as an adult. But someone who's 9, like, what do you do? So in other words, if you're going to say, hey, that's wrong, but I'm not, I'm not going to put him in prison. Well, like what exactly do you do? Inspiring Philosophy said, we'd want to do education. If you wanted to do something and say, hey, you're going to give him community service or something like that, that would be one thing. But it sounds like he's saying toss the parents in prison.
Yeah. So the thing is, both IP and Matt Dillahunty agree that 9-year-old kids shouldn't be having sex.
Yeah.
But they don't agree that that it is good or useful or the best option to put a law in place which punishes them in case they do have sex. So that's the thing, and I think the problem here would be the way Adam just presented this. It looks like it makes Matt kind of look like he is okay with kids having.
Okay, so you're saying even though what he said was correct as far as Matt's position, for people who aren't familiar with that, they just heard what Matt doesn't have a problem with 9-year-olds having sex.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, so yeah, notice it is I don't know. So keep in mind, we're not talking about like a 20-year-old having sex with a 9-year-old. Notice if you had a 20-year-old having sex with a 9-year-old, even if the 9-year-old was completely willing, it would be the 20-year-old who would be punished, right? That's the person who's punished. The 9-year-old would be treated as a victim. Okay, so what do you do if it's 2 9-year-old? It's very difficult to say, hey, here's, you should give out prison sentences or something like that, or even that you could make a law, because then you're going to have what? You're going to have 9-year-olds testifying about what they did in a jury, and I don't know, it sounds really, really weird. But yeah, let's see what his alternative is in his view of human flourishing.
In fact, create laws that made it a crime for a 9-year-old to have sex.
Let's back this up.
Their own perversions, and then add human flourishing at the end. Matt has said he wouldn't make a law stopping 9-year-olds from having sex with each other. Not kidding. Now, I know this is going to sound a little bit totalitarian, but I would in fact create laws that made it a crime for a 9-year-old to have sex. I would hold the parents criminally liable for allowing this to happen.
Now, this is just stupid. This is the stupidest thing he said so far. I would hold the parents criminally liable. Yeah, if you had parents who know that their kids are boning and stuff like that, yeah, parents should take steps. But I mean, what parents generally wouldn't have a clue what's going on if that was actually happening. And so you're going to what?
Not
so, but notice what he's saying. Okay. If a 9-year-old has sex with another 9-year-old, so they're sneaking around their tree house and they play doctor, and then it goes a little further and so on, I'm going to stick the parents in prison. Okay, so now this 9-year-old who's already sexually active has no parents because they're in prison. Okay, that sounds stupid to me.
Yeah, so it looks like I don't know if Adam is misunderstanding what he heard, but
did you say Adam?
Yeah, isn't that his name?
His name's Andrew, man. You think all
Andrew.
You think all A names are the same? Okay.
Did I just say Adam before again? Yeah. So yeah. So Andrew, I don't know where Adam came from. Andrew, he might have misunderstood what he heard, but that was not the discussion. That was not the point at all. Matt Dillahunty didn't at any point say that he is against laws preventing 9-year-olds from having sex with each other. That was not what the discussion was about. So this is a misrepresentation, and I'm not entirely sure if he's deliberately misrepresenting it or if he himself didn't understand it. But it is a bit weird because that's not what the discussion was about at all. So I see that.
In this context, he's using it as another example of the discussion. So my version of secular humanism would be this. I think it's good for human flourishing to punish the parents and throw them in jail for what their kids are doing. Matt thinks that you shouldn't do that sort of thing. And so how do you navigate those? I don't know if he's still making the same point that he was making earlier, if he's kind of moved on.
But Matt also never said that shouldn't be done,
What?
So I'm pretty sure Matt never gave his opinion on that. Like what his point was in that discussion, that he wouldn't, punish basically kids for doing that. He wouldn't make it a crime for them.
Yeah, that's what he said. Matt's position is, and he's saying he would absolutely arrest the parents for what their kids are doing.
But his wording with what he just said his wording is that Matt Dillahunty, would not have laws preventing kids from preventing 9-year-olds from having sex. That sounds a little bit strange. That doesn't sound very much like what actually happened. That sounds like Matt would.
Well,
be,
he doesn't believe in laws against it, right? So he could say,
Yeah,
he-
yeah.
like as far as
But the way he presented
I
it-
didn't see it. I'm just thinking of what IP said, and IP said I would try to deal with that through education or counseling or something like that, not by making laws and punishing them or something.
the thing is, the way Andrew presents it, it looks like it sounds like he. It sounds like if there were two 9-year-olds that are engaging in sexual interactions and their parents are aware of it and their parents are allowing it and encouraging it, then there would be no problem with it in Matt Dillahunty's worldview. But in my worldview, there would be a problem with it because the parents would go to prison. And I don't know. It seems like there is a big misunderstanding or misrepresentation going on here. It's kind of wild.
So you're saying that while what he's saying is correct, people who aren't familiar with the background of these discussions will interpret that as Matt thinks it's okay and this guy thinks it's wrong. And oh my goodness, we got to side with this guy because Matt's a lunatic who has no problem with 9-year-olds having sex.
Plus, I'm also not sure at this point if Andrew actually understood what Matt's position entirely is.
Yeah, let's go ahead and see this.
Human flourishing at the end. Matt has said he wouldn't make a law stopping 9-year-olds from having sex with each other. Not kidding. Now, I know this is going to sound a little...
Wait 1 second here. I've been posting this. We don't have time to actually discuss all the super chats and so on because I do have to be going soon and we're going to get through this. But here on SK's thoughts on Ted Bundy's conversion claims. I'm not familiar with those claims, but
I've never been interested in Ted Bundy. So.
Yeah, I believe that psychopaths can have genuine conversions, but I would say you need to watch them and see if it is genuine because they are habitual chronic deceivers and manipulators. And even without looking into this, I would predict you probably couldn't tell. You probably wouldn't have enough to go on with Ted Bundy to know if he was sincere or not, if he did have some sort of conversion claim. But again, I'm not familiar with it.
You know what was so interesting about Jeffrey Dahmer to me? That he was not diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, and it is still maintained that he was probably not a psychopath. He genuinely had true...
Bundy was. That is as perfect a psychopath as you can have.
Yeah. But that's the thing that's what fascinates me so much about Jeffrey Dahmer, because he was like, I don't know, he genuinely felt sorry. He was crying while he was doing very messed up things.
You're crying,
which is very, I don't know, that's much more interesting to me than some psychopath going around and killing people. You know?
Yeah. All right, so let's see exactly what Andrew here says.
A totalitarian, but I would in fact create laws that made it a crime for a 9-year-old to have sex with their 9-year-old. I would hold the parents criminally liable for allowing this to happen in my evil authoritarian society, where I don't even let 9-year-olds have sex or the parents go straight to jail for negligence. Now, I think that's better for human flourishing. I think maybe parents would be far less likely to let their 9-year-olds do that if they went to jail. Stupid me. Next, I would in my authoritarian society decree that all simulated sex acts in public were criminal offenses and would make sure that all people went to prison for the crime of indecency, which doesn't assist with human flourishing, and I'd like to know why I'm wrong. Secular humanism can basically be whatever the hell you want it to be. It doesn't really need the principle of freedom or the starting axiom of freedom and peace in order to postulate whatever it wants. It's sloganeering. They're slogans. They don't mean anything. Okay, why do 9-year-olds need to be able to have sex in order to advance humanity? Why do we need to lie about a person's sex in order to advance humanity? Why are these things necessary for human?
This is where the misrepresentation is taking place, and this is what Matt was kind of angry about, because this is what I meant. He's making it look like 9-year-olds having sex is no problem according to Matt's worldview. He just said, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they need to have sex, and that's not Matt's worldview. That's not what he said. That's the problem.
No, you're misrepresenting what Andrew said.
No.
Because you're jealous and you've been humiliated. He's actually, again, I was kind of listening to it to get an idea of what they were talking about. I wasn't carefully listening to it earlier, but yeah, he had a very different argument than what I thought. And his main argument is, once you, if you're just going to say, hey, we're going to agree that we seek human flourishing, you can tack anything on. You can say anything you want and then tack, and this is for human flourishing. In other words, AP could Adolf have said, hey, this is for human flourishing, and done exactly the same thing? Yes, of course. Of course,
She actually did. That's
Yeah.
actually basically what she said. So.
And so
Yeah.
so did everyone. Think of all the great genociders in history, and guess what? They're all saying we have to do this for the greater good and for human flourishing and so on.
Yeah.
And so
Hitler
he's
didn't
actually,
say we want to kill all these people. Hitler said this is for the greater good. We have to make these sacrifices. Sorry, but this is
Yep.
what needs to be done. That was his reasoning.
and so yeah. Here you had a quick question for you. We'll have to be quick on this, but we can talk about this in more detail in a different setting. But was the debate titled Mike Johnson takes over America with Christian nationalism? Sorry, but America is forcing their ideology. AP, thoughts on secular humanism? What's your thoughts on secular humanism in a nutshell?
I would have to think about that. I don't call myself a secular humanist. I think when I thought about it in the past, it seemed a little bit too naive and too limiting. I don't know. That's it.
So
Sorry.
AP says no to secular humanist values
Sorry.
and desires to impose his ethics on everyone else. Love your work, David. Would love to see you.
Re-education camps, things like that. Yeah, that's what I need.
Love your work, David. Would love re-education camp. Would love to see you react to the Dr. Bonson and Gordon Stein debate. Right up your alley. When you ask the question, says who? The precondition for intelligent experience. Yeah, that was Greg Bonson, and he took a presuppositional approach. I read a transcript of that. I don't know if there's a video of that. I think there's audio of it. I don't know if there's a video. We should see eventually. It is an interesting discussion. Your comment about not bombing sounds like the entire premise of Demolition Man. You ever see Demolition Man?
No.
It's actually good as far as what I said. You would need massive social engineering, societal engineering, and so on to actually do something to program people to all agree on the values that. But they actually did it in Demolition Man.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it's good. It's good. Future dystopia, even though, like, what it looks like is this wonderful world and so on is actually dystopic. All right, let's check out Andrew here.
Why are decency laws bad? Why would Christian ethics stop flourishing when the theist mandate is to reproduce, and the secular mandate is let's just all have sex and have fun, bro? That sounds way worse for human flourishing. In fact, I would say not reproducing is a worst possible thing for human flourishing, because if there's no humans, how do you flourish? So I guess, in essence, step one, I remain unconvinced. Step two, I need to be convinced, so I am no longer unconvinced. And step three, but God not real dough doesn't matter here. I've already granted it, to still demonstrate just how stupid this ideology actually is. With that, I'll yield my time, and I'm happy to get into it.
But God not real dough. He says, I've already granted that. So his well, this is rough because the debate's supposed to be Christianity versus secular humanism. And he's saying, I'm just going to grant secular humanism for argument's sake and show how I could come to a completely different view of human flourishing and so on, and that there would be no way to assess the situations. So, guys, that's what we have so far.
And he's basically saying even if there was no God, Christianity would still be better than secular humanism.
Yeah, so he's doing a great job. I guess that's probably his real argument, because again, he didn't lay out a case for Christianity. He's just saying yours doesn't work at all, and therefore kind of anything would be better than that. That sounds like what he's saying. So Christianity wins because anything would be better than yours, It's just personal opinion, and anything you say, you just tack on human flourishing on the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's what we have right before the rage quit. Now we'll see the rage quit. I'm wondering about this comment right here. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is defend yourself and your own values. If someone tries to destroy you, then defend yourself. Otherwise, there's nothing you can really do. Notice it. The world doesn't work like that, right? You just defend yourself. That's all you have to do. Defend your own values. That's how the world works, and that's all you need. I don't know what kind of fantasy world some of the people here are living in. The world doesn't work like that. Just defend yourself. Okay, we'll all just defend ourselves. The Palestinians are just defending themselves. The Jews are just defending themselves. Everyone's just defending themselves. See, it's that easy. Okay, it's not fixing anything. Sky Daddy is how Mary called God before Jesus. Justin says, how does James set the debate topic? Because this isn't the first time I've seen a debater get the topic wrong. What do you mean? He's not who got the topic wrong? They both argued the topic. The topic is secular humanism versus Christianity, which is like a better foundation for ethics or something better for the world, something like that. And Matt said, hey, here's massively misrepresented things, but he said, hey, this is why religion is bad and secular humanism is good, or this is why Christianity is bad and this is why secular humanism is good. And Andrew's case hasn't been to build a case for Christianity. He's just saying secular humanism is complete. It just completely self-destructs. And so anything would be better than this. So I think they are on the topic. You could say maybe some of the examples, like people have complained about Matt focusing so much on Mike Johnson and so on. That is, I mean, it is relevant. That is an example. So he's using that as an example of why Christianity would be a bad foundation for ethics. It would lead to bad consequences. And here we have, if Matt believes human flourishing is the goal and someone else believes, okay, here you go. If Matt believes human flourishing is the goal and someone else believes enslaving people like Matt and castrating them so they don't breed is the goal, how does secular humanism reconcile these two? Well, notice that this isn't between human flourishing and enslaving people. What you could say is enslaving, if we agree on human flourishing, we all adopt human flourishing as our model. And to give an example that would actually be extremely relevant, and someone says, hey, for the greater good and for human flourishing, we have to exterminate all stupid people. Because, you know, if every generation we kill all the dumbest people are going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. It'd be great for human flourishing, right? So what do you do in a situation like that where we could agree on human flourishing and we just completely disagree on how to get there and what's the most relevant features and so on?
Well, I would say that would, I think that could be quickly disproven, that would lead to a smarter society. So that might not be that big of a problem because
No, that's not. No, that would be right. If all of a sudden you just every generation you exterminated everyone with an IQ below 100, then smarter people are going to be breeding AP, and that means
I'm not sure if that's correct.
You're imposing selection on it, right?
I'm not sure if that's true though.
It's totally true.
Because intelligence is not only hereditary, right? It's also
it's partly hereditary. So if you kill everyone who isn't smart, and then you do a great job educating the super smart people, you get a smarter and smarter and smarter population, and then everyone will be on, and then everyone will eventually be on our level.
It's true, but the thing is, you also have to let people think and discuss and exchange ideas freely, which then makes them more intelligent in the long run. Which is why
they can do that. They can have the discussion. But it's after we exterminate all the dumb people. Then the smart people are having a conversation, and the conversation would be much smarter.
But then they will all just agree with each other. So there will be no real discussions.
No, they're not. No, they won't. And by the way, that's the flaw. Smart people will all agree. No, they won't. In fact, this came from Michael Shermer, who, I mean, he's the skeptic, so he's an atheist, but he pointed out that it's common to think that the smarter you are, the more willing you would be to change your mind when you're wrong. And he said, actually, the evidence shows the opposite, because the smarter you are, the better you are at defending a position that you've adopted. And so even when it's attacked, you're better at defending it, and therefore you're less inclined to change, even if there were evidence against you. But yeah, this ties into this sort of delusional thinking. If we just had a smarter population, it would be better, and everyone would agree. Well, I don't know. I mean, you might have a bunch of people who are better at scheming and committing crimes and so on because they're smarter.
It's beautiful.
So anyway.
Yeah, somebody said genius is not genetics. I'm sorry about that. It's not really true. So the science currently is on. It's very well established that intelligence is inherited, mostly actually inherited. Where there is a study, for example, which tests the intelligence or the IQ levels of siblings that were raised apart from each other by different parents. They are in intelligence much closer to each other than children who are not siblings but who are raised in the same home. So, which shows, since siblings, even if raised under completely different families, have IQ levels that are closer to each other, it shows that intelligence is very much hereditary.
Yeah. So guys, if you're dumb, you're born that way.
Yeah, to an extent.
No, but yeah. So there's a massive genetic component, and then there's sort of what you do with it and education and so on.
Yeah.
What is this? Primero said, someone wrote "Free Palestine" in my university bathroom, so I added a Star of David. I'm practically doing as much good as the IDF added a Star of David. I'm going to make a Kuranagami Star of David for our good friend Jake. I forgot about that, but I'm going to do it. I'll have that in a video. Hey, David.
I'm going to do a free PlayStation campaign.
Oh, Chaos. I remember you. Hey, David, I'm that friend of House of Hikmah from the conference. I'd really love to work with you more in the future. I hope to be able to do so sometime soon. Sorry, Chaos. If you want to work with me in any capacity, starting off by being friends with House of Hikmah is not a good start. So you're dead to me. And so is he. Well, a lot of here says, so if you were a foreigner and you walk on indigenous territory and they suffer because of your religion, is it still okay? If you're a foreigner and you walk on indigenous territory and they suffer because of your religion, is it still okay? I'm not entirely sure what you're getting at, but that would be a question if you're making human flourishing the foundation of your system, and you could argue it in all kinds of different ways as far as what is best for human flourishing.
I think this person is trying to make a point about Israel-Palestine conflict and Zionism.
We're not talking about that, though. So everything is coming back to human flourishing.
Completely irrelevant and misrepresentation, yes.
And you're acting like Hamas here. Josh said, you know how they equalize years and years of indifference between men and women? You say there are no differences. That's their brilliant solution.
Alhamdulillah.
Super chat from Snipe. Oh, didn't leave a comment. Thank you, though, Snipe.
Nice.
Eric here says, we should watch The Rage Quit. We should watch The Rage Quit.
Oh, yeah, let's watch The Rage Quit.
Yeah. Parents have shared about how they have specifically been told, would you rather have a live son or a live daughter or a dead son? Yeah. So, basically when Andrew was saying, hey, you have to agree with them or but he described them as lunatics or something. You have to agree with these lunatics or they'll self-terminate. He's raising a relevant point in the sense that is an argument that is used for the good of this community. You have to agree with them because they have higher rates of suicide and so on. So you just have to be careful when you're talking about this issue. That's the so anyway, point is there are people who are saying that. So yes, he can definitely raise that. The question is the way he said it, is that ideal? And
I mean,
it's not
obviously,
ideal.
It is a good thing to raise, but it's probably a useful thing to discuss. But if you are sitting there and saying we shouldn't be calling them deranged lunatics because they could self-terminate, it just looks like what you are trying to achieve here is not an actual understanding and resolution of the problem. So you are basically, with that statement, saying that you want to call them deranged lunatics. And why would somebody who is quite passionate about this then sit down and have a discussion with you about this?
And that's why I'm saying that yeah, the way he's wording it sounds like he's deliberately trying to enrage Matt. Now, there are situations where I would deliberately enrage someone. So it's whether you think this is a good idea, and that whether this is a good way to talk, and whether Matt is wrong for leaving the debate in this situation. But let's go ahead and watch the rage quit here.
Inshallah. Let's do this.
Hey, James, I just sent you a message.
All right. We are going to kick it into an open discussion. So 50 minutes and let's kick it.
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and dignify the preparation that I went through and what people were.
Oh, actually, this is a good comment right here. I can see why Matt got very upset, but that's not really an excuse to rage quit. Look at IP, Inspiring Philosophy. He was debating against someone who was basically promoting child rape while IP himself has a child. So, yeah, that's a good example. Notice, I mean, if you were going to say, hey, if someone says something really horrible and really messed up, then there's no debate. But I mean, almost everything Daniel Hakikachu says in a debate is horribly evil, messed up stuff. You could also think about Rabbi Shmuley in his debate on Piers Morgan. I mean, he had ample justification for just saying, I'm not sitting here and listening to this nonsense and walking off. So notice, I think he would have been entirely justified in walking off. Rabbi Shmuley, he could have said, hey, you're sitting here talking about my daughter, my son, all this stuff. No, I'm out of here. Would have been entirely justified. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he sat there and sort of poked fun at Muhammad Hijab in return, and has continued to do so. So, I mean, I would say Matt has every right to walk off. You don't have to stay there. It's just, was that the best course of action? I think he should have sat there and debated and pointed out any disagreements. Just said, hey, this is messed up the way you're talking, or possibly given a warning. Just said, hey, just so you know, my view on this is that you shouldn't be talking about this. You know, we can take jabs at each other and so on, but maybe dial down your rhetoric on this specific group here, or I'm walking off. Maybe some sort of warning. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a problem with this comparison. There is one obvious difference, which is that Matt Dillahunty and Andrew agreed to have a debate about Christianity and secular humanism, whereas Mike directly agreed to have a debate with Daniel Kikuch about child marriage. So
yeah, even then, you could have said, okay. Notice IP could have said, okay, we're talking about child marriage, blah blah blah. What about an 11-month-old? Oh, what? 11-month-old? Oh, okay, I'm out of here. In other words, he could have said, you're even more disgusting than I was aware of.
Yeah, as I said, I would probably not walk out of this debate, but I would see why somebody would walk out.
All right, let's go ahead and check out the rage quit here.
50 minutes and let's kick it.
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and dignify the preparation that I went through and what people were here for.
You're so indignant.
Matt needs a pen
Keep
pal.
interrupting me.
I am.
Okay.
You're so indignant.
Would the moderator like to step in so that I can finish what I'm saying?
Please, Matt. Please. How dare someone have an opposing worldview?
I'm not going to sit here and dignify what was supposed to be a debate about Christianity versus secular humanism, which one's better for the world.
Yes.
With someone who clearly showed up with an agenda that has nothing to do with that. Someone who refers to trans people as deranged lunatics who will self-terminate if you dare to question them.
How am I wrong, Matt?
Someone who misrepresents a...
Now that's interesting because he said, how am I wrong? So that would have been a good opportunity for Matt to say, here's why you're wrong. I'll explain to you why you're wrong. Either why you're wrong, why you're factually wrong, or, since that would be kind of difficult, why you're wrong in the way you're talking about it. In other words, if Matt really thinks that's wrong, here, it's a weird kind of proof of the problem with Matt's view. If you take something like, hey, should you talk about this community in this way? What argument can you give to someone who doesn't agree with you? Like, what argument could you give to say, do not talk about people in this way? This is bad. It's bad for them. It's not good. So what argument could you give? This would have been a perfect opportunity to say, hey, you said you're kind of hypothetically agreeing that on human flourishing and secular humanism and so on, but you have a different view, and you think that talking about the community in this way is it's a good thing. Here's why you're wrong. And notice, if you can't, if you just think, oh, okay, well, if you're going to talk about them in this way, then we just have to split. We can't even interact and have this discussion. That's the problem, Matt. Like, what do you do? How do you solve disputes about this kind of thing?
The thing is, I think at this point, Matt doesn't believe that that Andrew actually wants to have a proper discussion. He seems to be very convinced that that he just wants to be a jerk about it, and something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of split between both of these guys here.
Yeah, Koifas here says, your God is a bumbling fool, but don't insult mine. Yeah, that's kind of what it... Again, we see it because Andrew is talking about some issues in kind of a different way. Yeah, it is common. Hey, you guys are dumb and so on. Yeah, it's a rough issue. I don't think Matt should have walked off. I think he should have made his point or at least given a warning here. But let's go ahead and finish this one up.
From a debate where I said I wouldn't make a law about 9-year-olds having sex being legal with respect to the 9-year-olds, not that I was in any way in favor of it and that I was actually opposed to it, which I addressed during that debate. But moreover...
Well, to be clear, he didn't say you're in favor of it. And I think AP's point earlier was a person listening who wasn't familiar with it might come to that conclusion. Yeah. But as far as what he actually said, it wasn't a misrepresentation. As far as what a person might hear, maybe.
This is not remotely an honest interaction on the front of whether or not secular humanism is valuable. Because this, when he presented his position here, has nothing to do with secular humanism. From the get-go, it's all about me. Matt thinks. I'm giving what Matt thinks. What Matt thinks. What Matt thinks. What Matt thinks.
This seemed like his dumbest point.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem here. Because he talked so much about the speaker, the House Speaker, and now he's complaining that this was just about Matt. So, yeah.
I didn't even get that from Andrew. He's just saying, here's what you're saying. Here's what you're saying about secular humanism. This is the position, human flourishing, blah blah blah. Okay, what if I have a different view on something? I didn't even get that he's just harping on Matt's some specific position to Matt.
Yeah.
In other words, he could take that exact same argument and give it to a completely different secular humanist. I wouldn't see a difference, but
yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a really weak objection from Matt. He has a serious point to consider on whether he should sit here in this conversation with a guy who's, saying, they're deranged lunatics who self-terminate or something like that. At least we understand the point he's making. Here, I don't even get the point he's making.
No, here he's wrong. He's just wrong.
Yeah, this is a dumb point. AP and I agree. This is a dumb point, complaining that he's just talking about Matt's specific position when Matt spent half his opening statement whining about Mike Johnson. And I didn't get from Andrew at all that he's just focusing on Matt or something like that. He's pointing out a problem. He's pointing out a problem with secular humanism.
I wouldn't say dumb. I would say stupid.
Yeah. Stupid.
Not that I was in any way in favor of it and that I was actually opposed to it, which I addressed during that debate. But moreover, this is not remotely an honest interaction on the front of whether or not secular humanism is valuable. Because this, when he presented his position here, has nothing to do with secular humanism.
Yeah, it did. This has nothing to do. Yes, he did. He pointed out, I mean, notice we were talking about it earlier with this problem. What do? If you can take all these values and say, okay, we're seeking human flourishing, we're doing all this. What if we come to radically different conclusions about how to get there? What do? How do you navigate those? And that's the question. And that's what he brought up. And I didn't see any sort of refutation from Matt. And Matt saying this isn't about secular humanism. Quick comment here. Robin says the Scandinavian nations are close to secular humanism. 7 of those nations score in the top 10 in quality of life rankings. Andy boy is so gross. No, you Robin, I see lots of atheists saying this over and over again. But look at Scandinavia. You have nations that were very recently Christian nations. Yes. Yes, they still have basic Christian values, even if they're not believing in the source of it anymore. Guess what? That happens everywhere. Then it starts breaking down. In fact, in these Scandinavian nations, you're a complete racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigot if you don't invite in as many Muslims as possible. How do you say that's wrong? How do you say that's wrong? Because it's a bunch of secular humanists saying, yes, we need to bring in as many as everyone. And it shows how you can basically convince a population of almost anything. You could take a population and say, hey, you all believe in being good, right? And supporting human flourishing. Okay, in order to have human flourishing, we need to bring in as many followers of Muhammad as possible. Oh, you don't want to do that? Well, then you're a racist and a bigot. You don't want to be being a racist and a bigot are bad for your human flourishing, right? Okay, see, that's the point we're making. How do you say no? This guy's right and this guy's wrong. Right.
I must say I disagree with one aspect of that. I would say Scandinavian nations, they are so the quality of life issue is very much connected to the history of how they developed their countries in the Scandinavian model and their general understanding of culture and ethics, which developed over the last in the 20th century, and you could credit their way of secular thinking for much of the achievements and much of the quality of life, much of the happiness there. But the issue is, yes, there is also a big problem with this. You are right in that aspect. Yes, life seems great. Everything seems fine. Quality of life, booming, amazing. You have totally figured it out. But it looks like while you have figured it out, you forgot that the world is not this beautiful place, and you can't just apply your wonderful standards to all of the cultures and invite them all, because that is your weakness. Mm-hmm. There you will experience very, very bad things.
And I'd be interested in seeing how long things last, right? Like show me, okay, we've gone in this direction and we've been at it for 300 or 400 years and everything works swimmingly in our nation. Like anything, give me a city that says, hey, we're going to be. Now, keep in mind, you still have to wait for the future to see whether people can keep it up. That's the point. I don't think it works. I don't think in the long run it works. So notice, at some future point, you'll be able to look back and say, okay, here was a completely secular humanist area and so on. And they all agreed on secular humanism and things worked out well for them for a long time. And it worked out better than everyone else. You'd have to see it in the long run. We haven't seen that.
Of course, that's what's going to happen. I'm talking about.
Someone here said Dillahunty had to walk out. Worst case scenario, he gets canceled. But I suspect his real motivation is money. He walked out and into the arms of the woke, and he's laughing all the way to the bank. I don't know tons about Matt. I debated him, but I have no reason to think that this is all about money for him. Or
yeah, I doubt that.
He seems to really believe what he's saying, even if it's silly and ridiculous.
I doubt that. Yeah, where would he be getting money from? Either. I don't know.
Daniel Hapikachu is the EDP 445 of Islam. Do you know what that means? I don't know what that means.
Nope.
I don't know what that means. Thoughts on Ed Kemper? You familiar with Ed Kemper?
Nope.
All right, let's go ahead and catch the end of this.
From the get-go, it's all about me.
I know Ed Kemper. I know Ed Kemper.
No, you don't.
Edmund Kemper was a serial killer. I know about that.
Oh, okay. Guys, this is not the serial killer discussion hour. We brought up guys as a couple of examples and so on.
He was very messed up. There was a show that dealt with him very much, which is a Mind Hunter or something like that. Very interesting. Anyway.
What about Ed Gaines? That was the granddaddy right there. Hannibal Lecter, Buffalo Bill, all those guys were based on one creepy dude.
Position here has nothing to do with secular humanism. From the get-go, it's all about me. Matt thinks. I'm given what Matt thinks.
Matt's position.
I came in with the Secular Humanist Manifesto. I came in with positions that aren't that aren't merely my position.
No, at this point here, also these discussions ignore the real issue, which foundation for ethics is more sound, theism or atheism? For one could be an atheist and inconsistently hold a foundation for why they are good.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the idea here is it's not specifically secular humanism or something like that. It's kind of a theism versus atheism issue. So notice that that's a discussion about like meta ethics. What are the actual foundations? But yeah, for me, that is what it actually comes down to. Because you can say anything about a document. Oh, what if we all agreed on this document? Oh, great. No one's going to agree. I mean, we're not all going to agree on that document. It's kind of irrelevant.
Powerful stuff.
yeah, the issue in meta ethics is what is the foundation for ethics, and if there isn't one, then what do you do?
Powerful stuff.
Oh, well, as long as multiple people hold the position, it
This
makes it
guy's not
valid.
serious, and I'm leaving. James, if you want a refund, you
Well,
let me know.
good day, sir. And I'll cover your refund, Mr.
Cool.
Matt.
He just said he'd cover my
I
refund.
would cover his refund.
No. Nope. Nope. No, I'm not going to dignify a debate with someone who walked in to trash talk people and be smug and all.
Is atheists complaining about people being smug? Do you hear that? What is that? I hear atheists complain all the time. Oh, David is so smug. He's smug. How can I listen to someone who's smug? It's like the guys who say everyone's dumb except for them for decades. You just flip out when. Robert here says, by the way, David, we have a lot in common. We have 2 sons that suffer from neuromuscular disorders. I was in Orlando for Make-A-Wish the same time as you and teach philosophy in college.
Powerful stuff.
Like the exact same time? We were both down there at the same time? Oh, and you teach philosophy in college. Nice.
Powerful stuff.
I gave that up to do YouTube, though. So if you really want to be the same, you got to do YouTube instead.
No, I'm not going to dignify a debate with someone who walked in to trash talk people and be smug and all of the things that he's being right now. He's already said he will cover my expenses. You don't have anything to worry about. This debate is over. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jackass.
Whoa. Oh, here we have it. Here. Yeah, this is the part. This is the part where lots of people flipped out on Andrew. And Andrew's point was that Matt started it. So let's back this up, and that'll be the end of it.
No, I'm not going to dignify a debate with someone who walked in to trash talk people and be smug and all of the things that he's being right now. He's already said he will cover my expenses. You don't have anything to worry about. This debate is over. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jackass.
Did you call me a jackass, Matt? Well, you and your husband have a good day, Matt. Have a wonderful day, Matt.
All right, let's rewind that so we're all clear on that.
To trash talk people and be smug and all of the things that he's being right now. He's already said he will cover my expenses. You don't have anything to worry about. This debate is over. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jackass.
Did you call me a jackass, Matt? Well, you and your husband have a good day, Matt. Have a wonderful day, Matt. Yeah. No, that was fine. I mean, if you're going to take a parting shot, I will too, Matt. Yeah.
My parting shot's correct.
No, your parting shot's correct. Oh man,
Yeah.
tough.
All right. Then he goes, tough crowd. It's like, what the heck? All right. So we've been evaluating things in terms of consistency. AP, can you think of why someone could say that Andrew crossed the line, even though Matt did a parting shot there? I can think of a reason.
Yeah, I mean, here is the thing. If I say to somebody, shut up, you're a jerk, and then that person turns around and says, "Oh, really? Well, how about you go and and brings in family?"
Yeah.
then I would say, well,
Andrew there did what Hijab
goes a
did,
bit
right?
far. Yeah.
Yeah.
That goes a bit far. But then again, I don't know. I'm like, after seeing the entire exchange, I'm kind of on the fence here. I was more defending Matt Dillahunty and just thinking this guy's a complete jerk, complete idiot, whatever. But after seeing this entire exchange from beginning to end, I still think that was a completely uncalled for move, and that some of the stuff he said was really, like, you shouldn't be surprised when the other side cuts off the discussion and reacts that way. But I don't know. I can't say that Andrew is the only one here to blame, honestly.
Yeah. That's pretty much my view. I know people are all for. Lots of people are all for, going hard on the language and so on. You're in a debate. The point is, he could have made the exact same arguments and not distracted people with some of the language he used. It wasn't necessary. It didn't really help. He could have made the exact same points and then focused on his arguments, which were significantly better than I thought they were. He's making very, very important points. So to have the discussion of those important points sort of derailed, that sucks, because that would have actually been an interesting discussion. So again, the issues are, Matt insults people, Andrew insults people. I don't think there was enough there. I mean, again, Matt's under no obligation to sit there. If he really doesn't want to, he can get up and leave. I don't think he should have got up and left. I think he should have asked him to dial it down. Again, at least given a warning or something like that. But
it could have been a very good debate. I think it could have been a very interesting debate. I was genuinely interested in how it was going. And to be very honest, although I would say my worldview would probably agree much more with Matt Dillahunty's worldview than with Andrew's worldview. But to be very honest here, just looking at the opening speeches, I found Andrew's opening speech much more interesting and much more, much more informative, much more addressing actual issues. The arguments were actually sound. And I was genuinely interested in how Matt would respond to that. And this could have been a good debate, but Andrew did contribute in the way he presented it to, I don't know, degrading and ruining it in the end.
And notice, why did we, until we actually went through it carefully and discussed the points that were being made, why do so many people get the impression that Andrew's just a jerk and you shouldn't interact with him? If he hadn't said those couple things or had worded those things, because when you do that, you sort of make that people's focus. People focus on that. In other words, if you make the most brilliant case, let's say you have 20 minutes to make a case for something, you make this brilliant case, and then you say a bunch of really mean things about someone. Well, guess what? That stands out in people's mind. People have an emotional reaction to that sort of thing, and that becomes the focus of their brain. And now they're not paying attention to your arguments, and they're not listening anymore.
Yeah, people like to say this whole thing, and people like to say, "Oh, so what? This is based. This is good. This is, you say it as it is. What about the emotions?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
If you're trying to make a point, then you need to think about it. Yeah.
You're dealing with humans. You can, as much as you want, be tough guy. You can say, I don't care about emotions. Snowflakes, isn't that great? Fantastic, good for you. But you are dealing with humans. Humans have emotions. They have those things for a reason. They and you have to take that into consideration. If you're just going to say, "Oh no, I'm going to be based. I don't care about emotions. How about go cry harder?" You'll just be in an echo chamber. That's it.
Yeah, and you should just be having insult fests and so on. And if there are people who like that, you can do that and so on. But if you're here's the thing, it really looks like Andrew's goal was to show that there is a big problem with secular humanism. The arguments that he used, we agree, presented a serious problem for secular humanism, and yet the vast majority of people don't even know what his arguments were.
Yes. Even
people who watched it don't know what his arguments were, because I've seen people talk about what his arguments were and they're getting it completely wrong. He was making an important point. People missed it because of, again, I'm not saying you can't do that. It just depends on what your goal is. But so in other words, you could say, no, what I really want to do was tick off Matt Dillahunty and make him rage quit and get some, get that sort of thing going. Well, okay, then mission accomplished. But if you wanted to make your point, then yeah.
That was very
he kind of derailed his own point.
Yeah.
All right, couple of final super chats, and then we'll be out. Cameron says, "AP, you meet." Well, wait. What was that one right beforehand? I didn't respond to that. He says, "I'm pretty sure Matt believes that morals are subjective in foundation, but objective in assessment. So he would assess human flourishing as objective." I think he would say that. I'm saying it doesn't work. It would not work that way. So as far as Matt's view, there's no ultimate foundation. He believes that human beings just happen to seek the good. Just by nature, we seek the good of ourselves and our fellow human beings. And since we seek, this is his position in a nutshell. Since we seek the good of ourselves and other human beings, well, guess what? We can find out by experience better and worse ways to go about that. And so it's objective in the sense of there are ways that sort of objectively lead to better situations. And we can think of things that objectively lead to worse situations. The point is, there are so many value-based claims involved in what you mean by human flourishing and what you should be seeking and so on. There are so many things involved in that you can't defend, that you have no foundation, that it allows me to say one thing and you to say something else and us to come to completely different conclusions, to the point where someone who believes in human flourishing could actually be committing genocide and make a case that is what is relevant for human flourishing. And other people go, what do you mean human flourishing? You're slaughtering millions of people and so on. So anyway, yeah. We're seeking clarification on that issue. We did not get it. AP, you mean the studies showed intelligence concordances in the twins reared apart, not just siblings? Yeah, there are twin studies on this sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
The most notable study of this kind was the Minnesota study of twins reared apart. Yeah, there's awesome stuff on twins. Matter of fact, we should just do a show one day on twin studies and how awesome this stuff is.
I think that's probably what I'm referring to. That's I was gonna say twins, but I wasn't remembering it very well. So, but that's I'm pretty sure that was it. I actually learned that in psychology class.
Yeah, you take psychology, man. I'm talking about every indigenous community getting converted into Christianity for a land grab, Aboriginal Australians, Native Americans, etc. Oh, that was that earlier. Like, what if someone showed up and
that's based.
Yeah. Notice from a secular humanist perspective, what would you say?
It's based.
If Christians show up and, hey, we're gonna improve your society,
I would say it's based.
This fanatic says the majority opinion for Buck versus Bell involuntary sterilization is all about flourishing. It's an eye-opening read. Yeah, I mean, eugenics in general. Hey, more of people like you in society is bad. Therefore, we want to sterilize you. So that we are
Makes sense.
Yeah, so better. So notice, how do you say no, that's actually bad for human flourishing? It's going to depend on what values you're focusing on most, and you can make a case for those in any direction you want almost.
Makes sense.
Jason says Matt will insult anything sacred in Christianity, return the favor, and he rage quits. Yeah, that's kind of the issue. I mean, he started off, it was like in the first minute when he says, you bumbling God and blah, blah, blah.
Makes sense.
Joshua says, remember, AP, if it's not proof to you, Christ did not change D. Wood's heart, so he no longer desires to hurt people or lumps of cells. Any worldview, there is change and proof of change. AP thoughts. I can give you an atheist. I can give you an atheist perspective on, okay, so David was a messed up, violent people who sat around thinking about torturing people all day and then totally changed. You could say that's changing my worldview and my view of people.
Where's the evidence?
Did the work there. It's proof. We've got the proof.
Where's the evidence that David still doesn't want to go around murder people?
That's true. You don't know. I could be tricking you all. Frankly says we have to invite as many orcs as we can into Gondor as we can because we are more advanced than those silly Christians.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Scandinavia for you. Oh, here we find an explanation of EDP445 was a YouTuber caught trying to meet a 13-year-old. Oh, okay.
A grandma?
So Dan saying, a YouTuber caught trying to meet a 13-year-old. So they were saying Daniel Kikachu is that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, a 13-year-old is a grandma. That's what you would say.
No, great-grandma. So the 13-year-old has an 11-year-old child, and then can't believe Matt's hypocrisy. He calls God and theists stupid and then gets pissed off when people use his method. Also, love you guys. Truth is, Andrew trapped him with a logically coherent internal critique Matt knew he couldn't escape from. Matt expected him to argue as Christians typically do, So he rage quit to save face. I see you shaking your face, and I don't think that's what happened either. I think
Yeah, I don't agree
Andrew's
with
giving the arguments. I think Matt, like lots of people who watched it, just became fixated on the negative language, and that's all he heard, and then he wasn't even able to follow the arguments, and that's why
Yeah,
that's why we're questioning whether that's the right approach.
Yeah, I think his emotions got the better of him there. I don't think he had an actual issue with the arguments presented. He would have dealt with them, whether you agree with his responses or not. But I think he just really got stuck on the language there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Handy Tool says, typical Matt can dish it out but can't take it. Didn't he hang up on callers to his old show all the time? This isn't the 2000s. Walking out looks weak. Yeah, I would say it. I would say
he would say goodbye, and yeah, hang up.
Matt isn't an intellectual if he thinks XY can be XX or vice versa. And final here. What Israelis don't believe in God? I can't believe my bacon strip of the anus. Alhamdulillah, peace upon all the bacon strips, shrimps, and calamari. What's wrong with people, man? We're having this awesome discussion. All right, everyone. So, what are everyone's final thoughts here on what they think? Oh, hey, I can do a poll, can I?
Yes. Of course, you can make a poll.
How do I make a poll?
You just make it.
Where is it? What do I click on?
You go into the chat.
Pop out chat. Community moderation, participants, moderation, activity, timestamps. No, there's none of that.
It's changed. They changed it. What happened here? Isn't there something at the bottom?
I got a poll. Start a poll. Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
Was Matt right for rage quitting?
Yes, somewhat yes.
No, you got to pick one.
Very yes, somewhat yes.
Neither. All right, yes, guys, no. We're only going to do this right now, and then we're going to head out. I am interested in whether it's going to be. I mean, it's already looking pretty high, so it looks like the vast majority of people saying no. But I was wondering if it was going to be like 50 or 60% or something like that. It doesn't. It looks like around high 80s. Looks like high 80s percentage of people saying he was wrong for rage quitting. And I'm looking at the comments here. Definitely not right. Waste of people's time. Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's part of it. I mean, people are actually, it's not just people watching online where someone rage quits, you can just click off it. No harm, no foul. It's actually people traveling to watch these debates, and then Matt walks out and so on. So the point here is, if you have an actual event set up where you're brought in by a third party, that's not like hanging up in a show. That's different from hanging up on someone in a show. It seems like you should have some serious justification for walking out.
You know what I want to ask here? What I want to ask here? So the same people who say that he was wrong for rage quitting, and let me speak, because I'm going to answer my own question here. But the question I would ask is, if the situation was that there is an atheist there in the debate, and he says like, oh yeah, people think that we have to, adjust our values for their stupid sky daddy, and do this and this, and then go to their dumb churches and respect their things. If then a religious person said, yeah, we're obviously not here for a serious discussion, so goodbye, and walked out, would the same people also say that that person was wrong for walking out? And I would say that lots of the people who say Matt was wrong actually would say that that person would be wrong. But what do people say? I'm wondering.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about how this just happened the other day when Godlogic and I were debating two Muslims, and I let one of the Muslims get away with it a couple times. He kept saying, whatever he's saying, idiots who believe in the begotten Son of God or something like that. He kept saying. And then finally he said, "You're an idiot." He said, "I'm an idiot." And I go, "Oh, okay. Since we're doing name calling, your prophet's a child molesting, murdering rapist." And then And then he said, "Whoa! I didn't say anything about your." And I said, "What? I thought we're going with insults." And then his partner said, "Hey, take it back, man." His partner said, "Hey, take it back." And he said, "Okay, I take it back. Do you take it back?" And I said, "Yeah, I was just going with what you. I thought if you wanted to do insults, I'm fine with that. But yeah, if you're taking it back, then I take it back." And notice, then we went through the rest of the debate, and there were no more insults.
See,
But notice,
you see,
you could have had something right. You could have had something like that where Matt says, "Hey, I don't like the language you're using." The guy could have responded, "What are you talking about? You insult people all the time like this, and you just, it's called bumbling. You called God a bumbling, and then you complain about this guy and that guy." And Matt could have said, "Okay, well, I will agree for purposes of discussion not to talk like that. Do you agree for purposes of this discussion not to, talk about trans people like that?" And so on. They could have had an agreement and continued. And then if the guy said, "No, I insist upon this," then Matt could have said, "Okay, then I don't want to have this conversation." Something along those lines.
Alhamdulillah.
Oh, and then we have Muhammad and Shoaib got burned by the wood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because they're Quran only Muslims, so that was a different kind of discussion. They didn't believe in things I was quoting from the Hadith and so on.
To be honest, I think James contacted me first and said, "Hey, would you want to team up with David and have a debate with these guys?" And I said, "Yeah, with David if he's interested, of course." But to be honest, I'm not very interested in debating these guys. So whatever. And then he contacted.
Well,
So,
that's cool because that worked out for everyone. Because then I got a good partner.
Yeah.
I got God Logic. God Logic's
Yeah.
cool.
And he seems to be good. So
He's very good, and he's cool because he's super young. So, like guys like us can eventually retire because you got these younger generation who are going to school.
I like
people
that
in
guy. I like.
he's cool because he's like he's smiling and happy and enjoying everything. All right, everyone. Well, I think we are planning on going live as much as we can this week, just because we need to catch up on tons of issues, but did have a ton of requests for this topic, so I'm glad we got through it. Looks like the final count is 84% said Matt was wrong for rage quitting. So
The final countdown.
point is, we have a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds watching us, and if 84% of people say you're wrong and you don't think you're wrong, how could you possibly support secular humanism when 84% of people might disagree with you about something and you have no foundation for saying that you're right? Got that?
84% say you're wrong, then you are wrong.
See what we just did there? Matt has some utopia in mind where we're all going to aim towards this thing. We're all going to agree and we're all going to figure, Matt, you just did something and 84% of people said you were completely wrong. How would how would you convince them that you're right? You're going to have to say, no, you can't talk about people that, well, wait a minute, but you talk about people, and it's going to be in this big mess. So,
but he's going to say that there is an objective truth that you might have to sit down and argue about and analyze and then eventually reach, and that those people who voted against this are just deluded by a wrong worldview, and then we would have to get into a long discussion and have a debate on that and then figure that out for the rest of our lives and whatever you're even doing with our lives. So,
Anyway, that's what he's going to say. All right, guys. So we will be back soon. We're going to have a discussion with Rabbi Shmuley here pretty soon. And so anyway, pay attention to our channels and social media and stuff. We'll keep you updated on where we will be, but should be some fun stuff coming up. All right. Catch you all next time.
Bye-bye.